One.
Thinking of you, wherever you are,
One.
we pray for our sorrows to end and hope that our hearts
Thinking
will
of you,
blend. Wherever you Now I will step forward to realize this wish. And who knows? Starting a new journey may not be so hard. Or maybe it has already begun. There are many worlds, but they share the same sky. Sky, one destiny. The door to light. We'll go together. Hello and welcome to Memory Slot A's special episode, Kingdom Hearts Roundtable, monologued by me, Mark with a C, doing Kyrie's letter from Kingdom Hearts 2, and Rob putting together some special Kingdom Hearts music. We're all here basically because we're super hyped about Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out in like a week and a couple of days, and we just want to talk about it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Let me
I'm
just
Mark with a
say,
C.
yeah,
I'm
that was a
here
very
with
good touch.
yeah,
I really
the
liked that monologue you had going there. I'm
yeah,
sorry I
right.
broke into your intro. Hello, Mark with
No,
a
that's
C.
totally fine. Yeah, I was keeping that from you guys because I wanted you to be wowed by my acting skills.
That was
Uh,
superb. I like that
but
very
yeah,
much
it's
there.
the letter that Kyrie writes to Sora and Riku, where they read it when they're in kind of the like in between. I forget what they call it, but yeah, that's where that's from. But yes, I'm Mark with a C. I'm here with Mark with a K.
Heyo.
And I'm here with Rob, aka Cookie, aka Nightheart.
Thank you, Mark with a C,
I
for
gave you
keeping
I
that
gave you
going.
another AKA.
Well, thank you for adding that alongside, I suppose.
Oh man, you know
uh,
what?
in,
I
in
could
ca-
have, if I
Go
thought
ahead.
about it, I could have given us all like nobody names, like anagrams with an X, but I totally didn't think of it until just now. That would have been kind of cool.
That would have been funny. I'm sure. Well, you have to think about something interesting to do, Rob and an X. Um, Working on it. Working on it. By the way, in case you're curious, that piano thing that you heard there of "Dearly Beloved," that was composed by yours truly.
I was
I
gonna
did.
ask because it was like slightly different than I ever remember hearing it, and I was wondering if you were gonna actually record that yourself. Good
Nope.
on you for learning to play it.
That is good. That was the beauty of Garage. Yes, and the iPad that I had to go along with it. That was
It's
pretty clever.
amazing.
I liked.
That,
I enjoyed playing that. So
that was cool, man. I that was a
Love it.
brilliant touch.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
indeed, thank
So
you,
now
sir.
that we've had that grand, extravagant opening, let's get down to it. Uh, Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out, and it's been, at least for mainline Kingdom Hearts games, like 15 years since Kingdom Hearts 2. So we've all been waiting for it for varying amounts of times. So that kind of makes this unique, and we all have different kind of perspectives because of when in our lives we played those games. So I'm gonna open the floor to you guys to talk a little bit about when it is you started to play Kingdom Hearts and what it means like personally as a series. I guess you know what? Let me scratch that. Rob, let's start with you if you're ready because you played it the most recently.
Jesus Christ! Yes, I did. I was almost going to say if we were gonna do it in chronological order, we should start with the guy that actually played it earlier than all of us, which is you, Mark with a C. You're talking
You're
by
turning the
bringing me up.
tables on me.
No,
Okay.
it's fine. No, I'll do it because you're
Okay.
talking to the guy that literally played it in a span of 3 weeks. I think my day count was 25. I did count, and then my brain stopped working. Um, but yeah, that was I played as much of the mainstream Kingdom Hearts games I could play in the span of 3 weeks. Watch the ones that are in movie form, so it'd be like 358 over 2 days, and X back cover, and also had to watch the ending of BBS because I just couldn't get to that secret ending, and most of Dream Drop Distance because at that point when I was getting Dream Drop Distance, I ran out of time. And I watched Kingdom Hearts 1 because I wasn't a fan of the combat mechanics at the very beginning. But again, I think that's a topic we'll get to eventually. So if we want to start with anything, or if I were to explain where I started from, it would be watching Kingdom Hearts 1, watching Chain of Memories, playing Kingdom Hearts 2 in its entirety, playing 90% of BBS, watching 358 over 2, watching the last 20 minutes of Recoded, and then watching mostly the rest. But I digress. Are we doing opinions, or are we just talking about when we started playing them? And
not yet. Just talk your history.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is my history in a nutshell, and I only just finished 0.2 last night, which was a very fun time indeed. That actually made me really happy. I
just have one comment for you, Rob.
Yes,
I remember when you were giving yourself a hard stop date of like January 15th to finish playing the games, and you're still going. So I love it. You got hooked.
I mean, you know,
Mission
the
accomplished.
thing is, like, I didn't understand how to play Kingdom Hearts properly until like the tail end of Kingdom Hearts 2, because Mark with the K was like, "Oh, have you been dodging and double jumping?" I'm like, "You can double jump in this game? I didn't know this." And that was all my fault for not learning to use other limit forms. That was on me. Totally on me.
That'll be a discussion for later. I'm sure of it.
It's certainly something I can bring up. I mean, it's a gripe. I think there are certain aspects of it people can agree or disagree with. But, you know, that's just my perspective on it. And, again, this is most fresh for me since I've been playing for the past 3 weeks and literally filling my brain to it, to the point where it actually made me physically sick. Fun fact, you know, when I was writing all those those tweets on Monday about my experience with Kingdom Hearts and singing "It's a Small World After All," I think I had a fever. I think I was actually delirious. So, yeah, that's what Kingdom Hearts did to me. It literally broke me.
You got turned into Data, Rob.
Don't bring that up. I think Recoded is one of the things that I just do not care about. But yeah, that is my personal history in a nutshell. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Oh, by the way, quick note here. It wasn't working at the beginning, but all of a sudden it's working now. If you'll note on the stream, we've got a nice little overlay going. The command deck has our names on it. It wasn't working at the start of the stream, but now it is. I hope people appreciate that.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, it's a neat little touch, I think.
Yes, indeed. All right, go ahead, sir.
All right. Well, I played Kingdom Hearts 1 many years ago. It's probably like 10 years ago now. I played it, I think, while I was in high school still. And then that game left me with all kinds of feels. But I never played any of the other games until, I don't know, maybe about a year ago. When the PS4 collection of 1.5, 2.5 came out. Because prior to that, it came out on PS3, but my PS3 wasn't playing discs, so I had to wait for PS4. So I played through Kingdom Hearts 2 towards the middle, I think, of 2018. And then I started Birth by Sleep, and then my PS4 decided
to spit discs.
It doesn't like discs in it anymore, so it continues to spit discs out. So it's been a long time since I've been able to get meaningful progression through a Kingdom Hearts game. So I'm still playing Birth by Sleep right now, and I also have a tiny bit of experience with Dream Drop Distance on the 3DS, but that's about it.
Cool. So my experience goes way back to 2004 when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, because one of the first games I started playing, so at that time I'm 25 now, so I was like 10 years old. Some of the first games I started playing and enjoying on the PS2, or one of the first, was Final Fantasy X, right? So I really loved Final Fantasy. And when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, what I knew about it was that there's Final Fantasy characters in it. And specifically in you know, you guys know, in Destiny Island in the beginning, there's Tidus and Wakka. So I was like, I need this. I need to play it. And so I bought that when I was 10 years old. And as I'm sure anyone who's a young impressionable 10-year-old playing a game with, it seemed like it had a little bit, or at least, Final Fantasy games seemed like they were for maybe kids who were a little bit older and had a little bit more mature themes. They were a little emotional. Like, I was so impressionable, and Kingdom Hearts would just hit me right there. And it basically, never let go. I loved that game. I played it so much. I played Chain of Memories on the GBA when it came out in between 1 and 2, which uh, that game is overlooked. It's got a really, really cool card system, and I played that. I played that thing to completion. I think probably one time, but it was totally memorable. And seeing it now in like the remakes in the Kingdom Hearts 1 engine or Kingdom Hearts 2 engine, like kind of wild.
I feel like you're
To
one of the rare folk that actually played Kingdom Hearts when it was on the Game Boy Advance, in its
yeah,
right form.
Hmm.
Because we
yeah,
would
because
be
you look at them. What's up, Rob?
no. Because I was just saying, like, from the perspective of any Kingdom Hearts fan who had, like, when that game came out, all they knew was Kingdom Hearts 1 was out, and oh, this is probably some little old spin-off that probably isn't important. And little did they know, further down the line, that this little spin-off that was in little stupid Game Boy sprites would be actually somewhat important to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, it would be one of the more important ones for
Yeah,
the development of the organization.
it's so cool because we could dig into this later, but just briefly, it's like deceptive because like the whole plot of the game is you like lose your memories and you're regaining them back, and so it makes it feel like nothing of consequence is happening. It's not until like literally years later that you realize, oh no, this is actually really important in the whole timeline because of how everything kind of stacks up later on. So that was cool. I played that. Then Kingdom Hearts 2 in '06. Loved that. They just have like a very special place because they were games that I played when I was growing up.
They're literally
So
your
I'm one of those
childhood.
people.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? Like that game is about, even from 1 to 2, it's like them being like younger kids, them kind of maturing a little bit in their designs and stuff. And so you feel like you're growing up with them a little bit. So I was kind of locked in, regardless of, even if these games were trash and went completely off the rails, I probably still would love them now anyway because of just when it hooked me. But I think the funny thing is, in terms of my actual later experience with playing the games, I think you guys have me beat because I did play the shit out of those first three, but then the rest of I mean, I haven't really played much of the rest of the games. I know I've done a lot of like plot deep dives and learned the story for the sake of being prepared for Kingdom Hearts 3, but I never actually, sat down and played the rest of the games. So in terms of like knowledge of the more like inconsequential plot stuff and like mechanical stuff,
Wait,
I
there's
don't.
inconsequential plot to Kingdom Hearts?
No way,
Dude, come on. Every
Everything's
Okay.
fucking important.
Tell me
This.
about the Tarzan world. Please.
Okay, no.
In
You're
Kingdom Hearts 1.
you're right. I mean, like you got it right in that perspective. I think it's more along the lines of all the other sideline games being thought of as inconsequential because they were all on these other platforms and they didn't have a number next to them. When in fact, every one of the games that have come out for Kingdom Hearts has been important. Even
For sure,
Recoded.
yeah, and
Even
I didn't
Recoded.
realize that. I didn't realize that, at least for,
I know,
there's
Mark.
there's a few, but I didn't realize that at the time, and still
I
like when
mean,
those were coming out, like I was that's one of the weird things, like, when you're like an adolescent and that like span of maybe 6, 7, 8 years where you're going through a lot of different changes. You're going to high school, you're going to college, your life changes a lot, and sometimes you can't play that stuff. And I think like I just fell off completely. But now I do kind of regret not playing those games,
no,
at least buying the PS4 compilations and playing those. But eventually I
the
will.
last part's a fair point, but no, you bring up an interesting point about not having followed around, because it's interesting to note that up to the point before they released the 1.5 2.5 mixes on the PS3, all the other Kingdom Hearts games were scattered all over the different platforms. Like I
Mhm.
feel like the biggest, the coolest, and slash the worst thing about this whole series of franchise is that it split itself among so many different consoles that in order to be totally caught up with Kingdom Hearts up to that point, in like 2000, whenever the PS3
I
mixes were
think
released.
Dream Drop Distance was like 2010
Oh, great.
or
Never
or
mind.
something.
Even up
Yeah,
to that point, yeah, up to 2010, you would need to have owned all the other consoles they were on. You had
Mm-hmm.
to have them on. You have to have owned PSP for Birth by Sleep. You would have to
you
own
had to
DS
have
for
a Game Boy
358 over 2,
Advance.
Game Boy
You
Advance for
needed
COM.
you needed a DS. You needed a 3DS. And
I
It's
mean,
like you
even a
needed every
phone
console.
for one of the
like the
games
only
you needed
thing
a
that's
phone.
more all over the place than the stories of these games is where you have to play the games.
True.
Yeah.
Yep. It's insane, and it's the fact that it's able to do that. It in a way it means that Kingdom Hearts can reach a large player base, but are you reaching the same player base? That's what makes it difficult. I don't think
Yeah, it's
everyone,
interesting. They made it so like they made it difficult, like the barrier of entry to have experienced all those games in like so it makes it like complicated in a meta layer on top of the actual contents of the game being complicated in terms of the plot. It's like complicated to even get to the point where you get to experience the complicated plot. I think that's like interesting because I feel like there's probably a contingent of fans who are like, well, you're a real fan if you like went through all of the hoops to get yourself this lore, you know what I mean? And I think also kind of looking at us coming from three different perspectives, I think it's like more that you just kind of get it how you get it eventually, and that doesn't make you any more or less of a fan. The fact that I played it when I was 10, Rob played it when he was 25, and Mark played it when he was like 18, like doesn't really make that much of a difference. We all kind of reach the same
Right.
conclusion at a certain point.
exactly, very true. And people can have different opinions about the franchise as well, but it's really just a matter of being able to play all these games, different points of our lives, and still appreciate, the various aspects of these games.
And I think that's one of the things that, regardless of how crazy the story can get, like this game, yeah, all of the games will leave whoever plays it with some sort of feels because you meet all these Disney characters along the way. So right away, all these characters you grew up with, you know, you meet them in the game and you interact with them and it's cool, even though their stories don't really have anything to do with the end game, but you have that, and then you have the characters like Sora and Riku and Terra and Aqua and Ventus, and you're gonna feel some sort of way by the end of the games because you're following them along this long, amazing
Long
journey.
journey.
Very
Mhm.
long. Emphasis on long.
Yeah. Are you
And the
guys
fact
Disney
that
people?
there's like so many different plot points to follow. I mean, I think this game is also infamous for having one of the most convoluted plots ever. Personally, I don't think it was that bad until I started watching Dream Drop Distance. That one actually made my brain hurt. The
Yeah.
whole time traveling aspect was just okay. I was okay with Xehanort, with BBS, and Terra and stuff. But then you started introducing time travel. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to stretch some brain cells to get this one understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark with the C, considering you fell off, or rather you played up to Kingdom Hearts 2, is it an odd feeling like seeing where we have gone, where like the franchise is since that point? Because I think up to Kingdom Hearts 2, it was more or less um, black and white, almost literally black and white, or fairly straightforward to understand what's going on in the story, and that now you
Yeah,
have time
in
traveling
a
and possession
way.
and stuff.
Yeah, in a way, totally. Because when you play one and two, it becomes pretty clear that the game is like the foundation of the game in terms of like the stuff that you're fighting is, the heartless and the nobodies, right? Hearing later on that there's the unversed, which are basically another classification of that, and the dream eaters or nightmares, or I don't even know what the actual term for that is.
No, you got it.
Like seeing that stuff, it's like, oh man, this is expanded in a way that is like seems overwhelming. But at the same time, it's like, Kingdom Hearts 2, I think more than anything else, like primed me or any fan for what was to come, because they do the whole bait and switch in the beginning, and they let you know that this is going to be much bigger than just the story of Sora, because you have this whole Roxas plot, and you're not even sure how that wraps up exactly once that introduction is over. And you have, oh, here's 13 new characters that all look pretty much the same. And also, here's Riku, who now took on the appearance of the final boss from the first one. And you're like, okay, they're like creating ties, they're like connecting dots in ways that make no sense. So, knowing that and then seeing where it went years later, I'm like, okay, I could understand why, but then also once you try to dive into it, you're like, Jesus, I don't know if I can do this. It took a long time for me to like really understand, for example, just the entire uh Xehanort uh character connections between, like what version of Xehanort leads to what version of Ansem, or what Heartless and what Nobody, and where in the
Like, how did you
timeline that
get
all
Zemnis,
happens.
and
Yeah,
who is Xehanort at this point in time? It's just sort of like, it's a lot of things.
yeah,
It's lunacy, really. At the end of
It's
the
almost
day.
as lunatic as, and Jesse pointed out in the chat, it's just as lunatic as like the numbering and the naming conventions for these games in general. Can we just stop for a
God,
minute and talk about the numbers on these damn games?
Can you actually tell me about 358 over 2 days and why it's named that? Because I've no.
I
don't
think
fucking
you
know.
mean 358 over 2
All right.
days. Say it right.
See, I don't
or I'll
even
say
know.
it
See,
wrong.
I don't even know. Oh, well, it sounds like you're the expert, Mark. So what's
Oh,
what is the reason behind
I am anything but.
that?
Who can
But
possibly be better expert than you, Mark? You're Mark. I'm kidding, of course. But I don't know why it's 358. I understand the 358 because the idea of 358 is that it ends 358 over 2 days. It ends right before the beginning of Kingdom Hearts
Right.
2, and Kingdom Hearts 2 starts off like 7 days before Roxas ends up joining back up with Sora.
mhm.
So it's 358 days since his birth up until him getting shoved into the virtual Twilight Town. I don't know what the over 2 part means.
Okay.
I mean, there's two of them. They're
So,
divided into two. I think that might be it. Sora's divided into, or rather, Sora's memories are divided into Roxas and Shion. So maybe that's
Yeah.
why it's divided by 2.
okay, yeah.
I don't know why it's 358
Oh,
divided
Rob
by
putting
2, but I think it makes
together.
sense. What's up?
Rob is putting the pieces together right in front of my very eyes.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm no expert, man. I've only been playing the games for 3 weeks.
Something I figured out recently, it took me probably much longer to realize than it should have, was that so Naminé, uh classically kind of confusing, mysterious character. What I realized about her is that she's the heartless of, or she is. I know that she's Kyrie's nobody, but she is like basically Kyrie's nobody that comes from Sora's body.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she is as a princess of heart, like too pure to have a nobody, but when she lost her heart and it went to
Into
Sora,
Sora. Jesus.
and he became a nobody that was Roxas, he also created Naminé. And like that's just one example of like, oh man, I have to go back, and because when you're like 12 and you're playing Kingdom Hearts 2, some of that might go over your head a little bit,
I think it
you
still
know?
goes over a lot of people's heads when they're 18 or 20. Still went over
Yeah,
mine for a
sure,
good period
for
of
sure.
time. Jesus.
10 plus years later, and I'm like, oh yeah, I get it.
I get it now. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously there are a lot more things that you'll get as you get older, but I think there are still some certain fixed aspects that are still they still require quite a lot to actually understand. I think the caveat to it though is that once you do understand it, you really begin to appreciate it, and you're like, "Oh, this is cool" every time it calls back to it. Although for everyone else that hasn't gotten it yet, it just leads people to scratch their heads more. Also, just a completely unrelated note, and this is really not even related to Kingdom Hearts ish, but like another thing that I learned quite recently is that Yensid is Disney backwards, and I did not know this.
Oh
Well,
yeah, you didn't.
I didn't
That one
notice.
was like that. I don't know how I learned that, but I was like, haha, very clever Disney.
well,
That one for some reason I picked up on.
well.
I
Uh,
didn't. I
Did,
feel
did
so
you
ashamed. I feel like I should have
did you
noticed that
then
earlier.
did you notice then that Master Ericus backwards is square?
no,
Ah,
fuck. Oh
shit! You
my
just blew my
god.
mind again.
Whoosh!
Christ.
I didn't realize that.
Man, is this really lazy though? We
Wait,
can
no,
figure out
Eric
names.
is no, because the Q and the U are swapped.
or it's an
It's
anagram.
it's an
or
anagram. Okay,
It's an
fine, but still,
anagram. Sorry. Still, your mind is blown,
my
right?
mind is still blown. You're completely right.
Well, yeah, it took me a long time to realize that body in the organization are anagrammed names from their human counterparts with an X inserted into it. When I learned that, I was like, that was almost on the same level of when I realized the way that the Gen 1 legendary Pokemon are named after Uno
Uno.
Dos Tres. Yeah. I was
Oh,
like, holy shit.
I didn't know that one either. I'm learning so much today.
Oh man, sorry, Rob needs to Rob. If you
I
need to
need a
take a
minute.
little break to process this, yeah, that's
I
totally.
think I need a minute. Oh man. But yeah, wow. That's quite a lot of ground in like the first, what is it? 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes.
Ooh.
I don't feel like it at
Oh
all.
boy.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we're
I want
only
to pose a
scratching
question.
the
I want to
surface.
pose a question. Do you guys still have any? I feel like this might be a good opportunity. Do we have any pieces of the plot that are foggy that maybe one of us could help clear up? Because I definitely have one.
You can start. I think my questions are gonna be harder.
Okay, so I posed this to Mark with a K offline, but I also think that Rob, your input might help me to put this together. But
Mhm.
the concept of the dream eaters and nightmares and like what they are and how they work, I just like totally feel like unconfident about it. So, do you have any like explanation?
Mark, you've actually played DDD, so you
Okay,
probably.
but hold on. Well, before you say that, I've played minimal Dream Drop Distance.
Sorry, bad question. I
I
didn't.
mean,
I
I only
played
played an
minimal
hour.
Dream.
I only finished Traverse Town, like the
I
very
mean,
beginning.
I think I was up to the Tron world, which is I guess kind of far to the game. But when I say like I don't really like know anything outside of, so what I was telling Mark before was that there's nightmares and there's spirits, and nightmares are like, yes, they're like the heartless equivalent in this game, and they're sent to all these worlds that have a quote unquote sleeping keyhole. It's like for I guess towns that haven't been completely restored yet after I guess, the hearts were
Restored at the end of Kingdom Hearts
were
1.
restored.
Yep.
Yeah. So nightmares are there to like feed off of that, and the dream eaters are there to get rid of
The
the
fight against
nightmares.
them, yes.
Yeah, so like that's my cursory knowledge on that. I'm not like Dream Drop Distance is a real like it's a sore subject for me because I wanted to really play it, but at the same time it just did, like, the whole dropping in and out of Sora and Riku's story really just I
It
couldn't
didn't
keep up.
click.
It like I also was playing this probably uh 6 years ago maybe, so like, and I was playing it on the 3DS, and I didn't like playing it on the 3DS because it just didn't feel didn't I like playing those games on a
A
TV.
larger screen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like to picture it on the big screen, sitting comfortably with a nice controller in my hand. So when I eventually get back to playing Dream Drop Distance, Mark, I'll give you an answer.
Gotcha.
Honestly, I feel like that's the best answer you could cobble up with. Really, when it comes down to it, the only thing I see it as it's a thing for Sora and Riku to fight in Dream Drop Distance. I don't think their origins
Yeah.
matter as much as the
Damn.
Heartless or the Unversed. Like, I don't think their stories mean much in the long run. I mean, Dream Drop Distance in general is just every bit of lore that it adds a lot of lore, but it's also
A lot
extremely
of
bloated.
confusion.
It
Mhm.
A lot
it
of
is a
confusion.
lot. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
take in. So I wouldn't hang yourself up too much on dream eaters and nightmares.
All right, so
Okay.
I have a question, and I posed it to you yesterday. But since we're here and we're talking by word, young Xehanort, is he just Terranort?
No, I can answer this one. No. You talk about when we say young Xehanort, we're talking about
I'm
young
talk-
Xehanort from Dream Drop Distance, right?
Yes.
Yes, young Xehanort from Dream Drop Distance is literally Xehanort when he was a kid, still in training. Terranort is old guy old hard fuck,
Old man
Xehanort.
Xehanort.
He's old man Xehanort. Like by the time we meet him in Birth by Sleep, like he's like aged and seen a whole bunch of stuff in his lifetime and has gone on to possess Terra's body. Essentially, they are the same air quotes person, but they're at different points in their time stream. So the thing about young Xehanort is that he was plucked out of his like point in the time stream because old Xehanort went back in time and talked to him, gave him powers and stuff. And at the end of Dream Drop Distance, he gets plopped right back into his part of the timeline, so he could live his life and become old Xehanort to do the whole
But-
thing again. So,
Okay,
time
hold on. Here's my whole thing, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
the end of Birth by Sleep. Spoiler alert. The end of Birth by Sleep. Young or Terra Xehanort escapes the realm of darkness and ends up in what is
Radiant
it? The
Garden.
Radiant Garden.
Yep.
And he's found by Ansem the Wise,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is where does that Terra Xehanort go? Does he becomes
Where does he
then
go?
does he become
He-
Ansem the Seeker of Darkness?
Okay, I can answer
that is
that
my
one.
understanding. That's what I think.
Yes.
Yes.
The story behind that is so Ansem the Wise picks up young Zayn, picks up Terranort.
Right.
At this
and
point,
he takes him
Terranort-
as like an apprentice.
Yep, and Terranort has lost most of his memories. And then at this point, this is where Ansem starts thinking about, working with hearts, and then Terranort, he doesn't have his memories back yet, but he starts experimenting, and he offers himself as being a guinea pig for these experiments, and he takes it way to the extreme, and eventually he's the one that ends up knocking out all the other apprentices, turning them into nobodies, and then turning himself into, like, a nobody and his heartless. And that's how you end up getting Ansem and Xemnas.
Okay, so Terranort becomes Ansem and
And
Zem,
Xemnas. Yep.
the heartless and the nobody of basically Terra, right? Terra, but Xehanort.
Terra
Is there-
with Xehanort. That one's always been
Yeah.
a sore point to
Well, no,
me.
because Terra's really just a vessel.
Yes,
Yeah.
Terra is a
He's
vessel.
just like the corpse of Terra with
corpse.
Master Xehanort's heart.
And which
Pretty
which
much.
which leaves the lingering will.
the
Got
suit
it.
of armor, which
Got
is apparently a really hard
it's his
boss to
soul.
beat.
Yeah, it is the
Um,
soul of Terra.
Man,
know-
that is just that seems like such a mistake to make them all look the same. But
I was watching the Kingdom Hearts like the final battle trailer, and I'm looking at Ansem. I'm looking at Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, next to Xemnas. I'm like, wait a minute, what's the difference between these two again? They're both brown
And
and they
hold
have
on.
white hair.
don't forget about Riku Ansem.
Oh my
because
god,
Riku
no! Don't
Ansem's a
even
thing
get
Yeah.
me
too.
started.
Yep.
This is the just going back again to the point about Terra being his basically his host. It's interesting when he turned into a nobody, because Mark with a K, you would remember this because you've probably played 2.5 Final Mix. Did you play the Final Mix on the
Of two-
PS3 or PS4?
2.5
2.5. I'm sorry.
Kingdom Hearts 2 final mix or the entirety of 2.5?
No. 2. Like 2 the Final Mix.
Yes.
Yes. There was a cutscene at one point where Xemnas goes into a chamber and he talks to a suit of armor. Do you remember this cutscene? Probably
it
not.
rings a bell. It rings a bell.
I didn't understand it when I was first playing 2, but apparently that was Aqua's armor, and Xemnas was like in this chamber talking to the body of armor.
Yes, I believe Aqua's armor is being kept in Castle Oblivion
In-
for like research purposes or something.
Yeah, see, that's something that I didn't appreciate until I started playing Birth by Sleep. I'm like,
Right,
oh,
right,
that's the
because
armor
that's Aqua gives her armor to
to Terra
Terra
to get
to
him
get
out.
him out, but
Yep,
Xehanort is still inside
Terra
Terra, or Xehanort's soul, heart and soul is in.
inside
Okay,
Terra.
that makes. Oh wow!
You see what I mean? Mind's being blown
Like,
everywhere. There's always something new to find out.
so that's really crazy because it's like on first glance everything just doesn't make any sense, but it takes like a real, like, you really have to sit down and try and put everything together in order to really understand. And then once you understand it, it's just like, oh, that makes sense why they did that. They got some PhD level motherfuckers
I mean,
over
they
it.
really
Now hold
had
on,
to.
I've got another
Go ahead, sir.
question on the Xehanort timeline. The hooded figure
Oh
is
boy.
I always thought the hooded figure was Diz, aka Ansem the Wise, but now I believe it's got to do with the Xehanort time travel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, are you're talking about the hooded figure that comes, what is it, in Dream Drop Distance?
The one
Yep.
that's in Destiny Islands and a
You saw-
couple of different games.
You see him like
Yes.
in Destiny Islands, like the very beginning of Kingdom
Yeah.
Hearts 1 also.
Yeah.
I believe that's
So
That's
that
Xehanort.
is Xehanort traveling in time, or Ansem traveling in time to speak to young Xehanort,
Yep.
the things
So-
that he would yeah, like then like what is he contacting him for?
What is he
yeah.
doing? Okay,
I think
go ahead, Mark.
Isn't he like giving him the power to time travel or something like
Yes.
that?
In Dream Drop Distance, that's what he's there to do.
That's how they
To talk to young
this whole
Xehanort
thing.
and give him the power, give young Xehanort the power to also time travel. That way he can, battle with Sora and do things like that. The reason why he's also on Destiny Islands, so like for example, he also shows up on Destiny Islands at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1. He's there because you need to have the whole time travel. It's because of time travel. It's because of the mechanics that you need for that they have nailed themselves down to in order for time traveling to work in this series. You need to have destination target actually be where you want to be. So there needed to be a version of Xehanort on Destiny Islands when it falls into darkness. Oh my god. You know what? No, I'm going to stop because I'm going to confuse myself if I keep explaining it. The point is, it's old Xehanort time traveling all over the place. That's who the hooded figure is.
Yeah.
Okay.
without
Yeah,
his
so
heart.
that clears that up a little bit, because I guess from Kingdom Hearts 1, because you got to imagine this was retconned a whole bunch, because obviously Kingdom Hearts 1 had the hooded figure. But
Yep.
I don't think they knew that that was going to be the time
Nope.
traveling
Right.
Xehanort until way later on. So then when Diz is basically, that's when Ansem the Wise goes into hiding, or like conceals himself in Kingdom Hearts 2. I thought that may have been him, like
I mean, I
kinda-
bet you that's what the
Oh.
game thought it was at the time too.
Yeah.
At the time it was
Yeah.
developed, you know.
yeah.
Again, I don't think that there's a lot, like if you really really read into the lines, there are a lot of things that I'm pretty sure like the production team had planned out at when they were first starting out. For example, the idea of Ansem, actually being a stolen name. I don't think they actually planned that out in Kingdom Hearts 1, because the secret reports contradict each other if you were to take it with that mentality. I don't think that they had planned on Ansem being actually a Xemnas Heartless that had stolen the name of someone called Ansem. I think they always intended him for him to be called Ansem, and they were like, we need to expand this series, so let's come up with a completely outlandish way to explain ourselves and write more plot.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, shit. I don't even remember the question I had, but it'll probably come back to me as we keep talking. Did you have more questions, or is that?
I think for as far as like plot threads, major plot threads, I think those are really the things that I'm still a little fuzzy on, but I feel like I know enough to where I could like have a coherent like I can like recite the story pretty coherently, I think.
Or at least as coherently as you can until you start talking about time travel.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on why Ventus and freaking Roxas look like each other. That's a topic we can get into in a second.
Oh my
But
god,
let's just open ourselves up to a more broad, generic topic now.
yeah.
Let's talk about game power rankings. How about that one?
Oh boy.
Ooh.
All right. Let's break this down. Let's.
So I just want to preface this with we obviously all haven't played the same games,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you know, if we fight hard enough for it, we should be able to persuade each other on the importance of each one.
True.
All
Well,
right.
at least
So
it doesn't
let's.
have to be a power ranking insofar as, hey, let's list them all and go down the line. Because I think we'll be here forever if we actually list them. Why not just like say which ones like you actually like really like? Maybe top 3, maybe just your favorite one. I only really have a favorite one, so that's the only one I'm going to talk about. Because I know you guys will probably cover the other 2 that I kind of like.
All right. I'll go first. I'll go first. So, out of the games in the series, I've played Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, a little bit of Dream Drop Distance, and up to the end of Terra's story in Birth by Sleep. Uh, so out of and like 20 minutes of 358 over 2 days because I bought it with the intention to try and prepare myself more, but the game is just
Well, your console is
it's
also fighting you, so I don't blame you.
it's not fun at all. Quite honestly. But
And not
out
just
of
because you're playing it
those,
on Proud.
so out of those, I would say that Kingdom Hearts would be my number 3 because I enjoy it, but the combat is a little clunky in it. It was the first game that I played, so I think it 100% deserves to be in the top 3 of games in the series. Then my number 2 is going to be Birth by Sleep. And though I haven't finished
Cool.
Birth by Sleep, I really do like the characters in it, even though the voice acting is pretty bad.
Agree.
Uh, but I really came around on the command deck, and I know I was telling Mark and Rob previously that I enjoyed the Kingdom Hearts 2 battle style more than the command deck. But as I was playing through the end of Terra's story, I really came around on the command deck, and I like the freedom that it gives you compared to having a standard magic bar. So that's my number 2, but my number 1 is going to be Kingdom Hearts 2 because I think it feels the best,
Just right.
and like I really love the organization. Like I really love the organization. And I think that's
Are
where
you
you
saying
really
when you? I just need to clarify. When you say you love the organization, do you mean the organization as like a plot thing, or like the characters within the organization?
the characters within.
Okay, gotcha.
The characters within because I I really like like Zyax and Axel, and I feel like all you get most of that from Kingdom Hearts 2. I might be wrong because I never played Chain of Memories. I know Chain of Memories you get more of the absent silhouettes from Kingdom Hearts 2, but
Are you talking
that's
about Chain of Memories?
Chain of Memories is where you get half of the organization,
Right.
but the part of the organization that I'm more fond to is what you get
Kingdom
in
Hearts
Kingdom
2.
Hearts 2. Yeah.
Gotcha. You miss out on Larxene though.
No, she's in the absent silhouette.
I know, but you don't, you don't actually get to hear her talk much besides, attacking you and killing you in 3 hits. as I so deftly found out.
Oh,
That's just me though.
she's oof.
I know. 10 out of 10. Or you could say 10 out of 10. Or Mark C would probably say 10 out
Mark
of
would definitely say 10 out of 10.
You got that right.
10. Mark C, I'm going to
Okay.
imagine that your list is very similar insofar as Kingdom Hearts 2 being a very big favorite.
You know what? I have some real like my opinions are different, but I have explanations for them. So I don't know.
Oh.
Do you want to go, or do you want sure, or should I
I
do my
mean,
list?
I'll be short. So I mean, mine is
Okay, yeah,
short
let
simply
you go
because
then, because I feel like I have long explanations
Ye
for to
I'm
justify
sure
some
you
of these.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give you the time slot for it. But really, when I say that I can condense mine, it's simply because my gaming experience is literally limited down to the games that I've played in full, which is only Kingdom Hearts 2 and Breath by Sleep. 90% of Breath by Sleep. I only played like an hour of Dream Drop Distance. Which is a shame because I actually like the combat and the flow motion and all the other mechanics that it introduced, but I was not a big fan of the whole spirits and taking care of your pets thing. Um,
I hate that. Hate that.
so I don't really even have a top three. It would just have to be those two in order, and it would be I'd like Kingdom Hearts 2. I think I would have liked it a lot more if I had freaking understood how to play the game. If I had understood how the game worked earlier on. Unfortunately, I got the wrong perspective of that. But I do appreciate everything that's done, and I still think that it is actually really good looking it back retroactively. But I have to say that my number one favorite game is Breath by Sleep. For a lot of the reasons Mark with the K mentioned, insofar as really liking the characters. But what I really liked about this game is the fact that the plot is actually integrated into your visits to the other worlds. One of my
Yeah.
biggest gripes about Kingdom Hearts 2 and even Kingdom Hearts 1 of what I saw is that basically you go to visit all these other Disney worlds and it has nothing to do with Sora's plot outside of we need to get through this world so we can get to the next world so we can get to where we're going. And it's really not like the overarching plot is never addressed in your visits to all these Disney worlds, and that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I'm fine with Disney worlds how they are. I just always felt like it was a missed opportunity. In Breath by Sleep, they actually managed to interweave character development. You get to hear a little bit about, Terra and trying to understand what it is doing and, the strength that he needs to overcome the darkness. Or, Aqua trying to catch up to Terra and Ven and, them always missing each other and encountering each other at different points in the time frame. Um, as a narrative, I think BBS works out like superbly well. Well, like way better than what Kingdom Hearts 2 did. And also the secret ending, Blank Points, is probably one of the best endings to a video game that I think I've ever seen. It's the closest that it's ever gotten to making me cry. That was really good. I really love BBS's secret ending. But that's that. I ranted a lot longer than I thought I would. Mark with a C, you go.
I will say I agree with the BBS secret ending, although I didn't experience it like by playing the game.
Well, I
Watching
watched it also, right? Did you watch it
Yeah,
in entirety?
yeah.
It was a good thing to
Um,
watch.
maybe.
The
Um,
cutscene. I mean the important.
yeah. I watched a cutscene.
Yeah.
And agreed totally. But
Yes.
as I mentioned before, the only three games I really played fully through or at all really were 1, 2, and Chain of Memories. So my top three is going to be a combination or an order of those. I would say number three and just barely number three. Like I could even see it as two. Uh, is Chain of Memories. And the reason why I think this game is so good that it stands up to the 1 and 2 mainline games is because I've never seen a game that has like a deck building system that is like so smoothly incorporated into like an action combat like beat 'em up type of game. And they both work well, like so well together that you would think that it's not uncommon for that kind of thing to exist. But that's like the only game I've ever played like that.
It's very
And
unique.
I know you
That's very
guys
true.
may have played a little bit of it. I'm not sure, but yeah, it is very unique in that like you're running and jumping the way that you do in Kingdom Hearts, right? The way that
Yep.
you always have come to expect it. Your attacks are these carefully built out decks that you create. So you have a key for a basic attack, or you have a card for a basic attack with your Keyblade, and you have a card for a cure spell and a card for a fire spell, whatever. But the way that you arrange the cards makes it so that you have these like specially planned attacks that you do, and what you could do is combine like it combines up to three cards to create like a special attack. So some of your higher level like tech abilities in like Kingdom Hearts 2, you can create them by with a combination of certain cards. Or you can make, if you combine three Blizzard spells, you make Blizzaga, right? Or two makes Blizzara. And so you have like these very careful like decks that you build in order to have like a certain play style, and you get to experiment with them the way that you play like a card a TCG, right? Uh and you collect the cards, and the actual way that you go through all of the worlds is you have enemy cards that basically you unlock a room and you say I want to use my uh I think one of them is called like Teeming Darkness, right? It's like a card with a lot of little heartless. If you use that card to unlock the door, then in the room, all of your encounters will be like hordes of little heartless. But you
Hmm.
can use one to make it, uh, a specific kind of heartless, or you can make it so that there's nothing in the room, or you can make those mushroom guys or whatever. And like, there's just a level of strategy in it that is like super duper cool, and is worth checking out, even if you don't like card games.
I mean,
I
I
know
played a
that's kind
little
of
bit of it,
ranty.
like again, as I was perusing through most of the collection, and again, I think I only played about an hour of that also, and I appreciated a lot of what I saw there too. It's a shame I didn't get around to actually playing the whole thing, but I do find that as particularly unique, and the fact that it's not been like replicated or done again in some format, it is kind of sad. It's a shame. I think it's a
Yeah,
very it's an untapped potential in my eye, and also
for sure.
vastly underrated in my opinion.
Yeah. And in terms of the plot, the idea of you're losing your memories as you progress through Castle Oblivion, super cool. That's like a cool like inversion of the oh, got amnesia and I lost all my memories to begin with, and I'm gaining them back as I go. It's the opposite. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. So that's number three. I think it does. Even if I played other games, other Kingdom Hearts games, I think it would still be up there because of how interesting that whole idea was. But now, uh, so here's where I differ a little bit because my number two is Kingdom Hearts 2, not Kingdom
Oh.
Hearts 1, which I think it was like typically expected because the thing is, 2 is a better game. It's
Yeah.
like the what Kingdom Hearts 1 was trying to do with its mechanics and its combat, Kingdom Hearts 2 does. Like it succeeds to doing it, and it's got way more like it feels better to play. It's got a lot more abilities, it's got a lot more customization, and like generally it just like works better, right?
Mhm.
I think like mechanically there's no question that it's the better game. And the plot is, that's where you're like, "Oh man, this thing is really going to blow up into something huge." In the sense of like this story incorporates all these different characters and has all these different threads, and enough so that you have to like go back and rewatch or read up or whatever, and you're like it really opens your brain to like what the possibilities are with it. So I think it's it totally deserves, and I understand why it would be a number one. I think I probably enjoyed playing it more than Kingdom Hearts 1, but Kingdom Hearts 1 I think is my number one game. And like this may be a cop out reason, but like this is the first game that I played when I was a child, so it got its emotional hooks in me. And also at the same time, it's like it's like the purest version of what Kingdom Hearts is because it doesn't have all of those connecting threads yet. So you're
Fair.
like, okay, this is the story of like a childhood rivalry between two good kids, and one of them is kind of playing with fire a little bit, and he's kind of getting mixed in with you know like some bad influences, but he seems like good, and you're Sora like the purest kid out there, and you're like happy go lucky like JRPG protagonist. And then there's Kyrie in between both of you, and like that's very easy to understand. And I think it really gets you like emotionally invested in it.
I
And then
see what you're
as you
getting
go
at.
through those worlds, you're like, these are all these Disney characters that I love, or that I might love, but you get to go through this variety of different worlds. And also the real main theme of that, if you watch, I know Rob, you watched the movie, and Mark, you've played it. It's like Sora's like, I just want to see different worlds, I want to know what's out there. And, like,
Hmm.
it can't just be Destiny Island, right? This like nice picturesque beachside town that I live in. Like that, as just the seed that's planted, is like so good, and that gives the rest of that crazy plot a foundation and something that's grounded, because it's character drama basically in the beginning, and then it's got all this other stuff that it includes. And I think like as a foundation, even if the game doesn't play the best and it's not the most impressive, I think it's like the best or my favorite because of how it sets it up.
So basically, you're saying because, well, another reason I think what I got from it was at least you like Kingdom Hearts 1 because it was the last time when the franchise was actually simple and easy to follow.
Yeah, no, but you know, there's something to be said about that.
You're right. You're not wrong. I don't discount that at all. At least everything made sense when everything was supposed to be, simple, straightforward. I think the
And
only
clean.
confusing part was where Kyrie, hides out in Sora's heart. Even that one requires a little bit of brain. I think that's probably the most challenging thing to understand for, if you take Kingdom Hearts 1 standalone. That's a good point. You bring up that's a very fair point. I too wish Kingdom Hearts were, as easy to, nail down and, actually understand the first time through. That's definitely surprising. I did not anticipate the ranking going the way that it did. But I
Yeah,
will,
and you
appreciate
know,
that.
you go and as Sora, you're going to all these places for the first time, so you're kind of getting that sense of like wonder, and it's like, oh man, this is what's really out there, and blah blah blah. And then you learn, oh, but it's not all amazing. You know, I've got this job to do now, and I have to find my friends, and like who would have thought that my best friend Riku would be kind of going against me and having
Hmm.
all of these like uh uh kind of being like pursuing these like the dark stuff, and it just really sets up like it really grounds the characters in ways that even when later on in the series they kind of go off the rails, you're like, yeah, but like where it all comes from and like the reasons why, and that they're not really fighting against each other so much as they're just trying to figure out what's the right thing to
In
do,
their own different ways. True.
yeah.
That's a very
So
fair
I
point.
think that's like complex in an easy to understand way. It's like, the complex emotions you feel as a person, and it really captures that side. And then, the rest of it goes into this grand, world, world level or like world scale kind of plot,
Right.
like introducing the
Kidnapping the seven
organization and
princesses,
stuff. Yeah,
opening
exactly. Like
keyholes.
the
Yeah.
going back into ancient history, the Keyblade War, and the fragments of light and dark and
And
all
the
that.
Kai Blade and, all that fun
Oh God,
Yeah.
part. That's
the
always,
deep
those
the
are always
deep
fun
dive.
things to talk about because clearly everyone understands them the first time around, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I know I kind of ranted a bit on that.
No,
Like
I
also in
mean,
short it's like I like it just I played it at the right time in my life, I think that's probably why I love it so much.
how much? So I'm just curious. How much of it did you actually understand when you played it the first time through? Because you played this again closer to its
Yeah.
release date than any of us, really.
I understood Kingdom Hearts 1 pretty simply, right? Like I didn't know what Kingdom Hearts was, like because it's just that big heart in the sky and they don't really describe it. So I still don't really know what that is. But like, it's basically like they just kind of said there's, you know, these worlds are uh basically being invaded or overtaken by the darkness, aka the heartless, and like well, Sora's got this power, and he's got the support from Donald and Goofy and King Mickey and stuff, and they're like, okay, let's go save these worlds, and it's Sora doing his like learning what else is out there, finding his friends, and also trying to like save people or like help the kingdom. And so like I think it ends up being pretty straightforward. I guess maybe when it gets to Hollow Bastion and Riku gets the Keyblade and Kairi loses her heart and Sora becomes the Heartless and stuff is
Yeah,
when
the
it
ending,
starts.
the
Yeah.
pretty much the ending. What hour? I would say
Yeah,
like the ending hour.
yeah, I would agree. I mean, it definitely starts going there. I would be wrong to say it's completely simple, but like I think I understood that on like a pretty basic level because it really that what it ended up being is like, is your heart filled with light or filled with dark, and that determines the way that you act pretty much. And then eventually, in the later games it kind of uh builds on top of that a whole
It
bunch, but I
starts
think I
off
understood
being
it.
it starts off being black and white, light and darkness. But then
Yeah.
especially in Riku's case, you start cracking into the idea of like the gray area. When I say gray area, it's more the idea of accepting the darkness or being able to
Hmm.
use the powers of darkness without actually, being evil as well. That's kind of what Kingdom Hearts 2 does, right?
Yeah.
More or
Yeah.
less.
And
Like
Kingdom Hearts Birth Chain of Memories
calm, yeah.
literally picks up right where one leaves off, because the way that one ends is the door closes and Sora's on one side and Riku's on the other side. Uh
And
right,
Sora
the
needs to find
the
Yeah.
door to
yeah.
light or whatever it is. And so like they make it easy enough to follow if you play them, and if you played those two in order. So yeah, I'd say it's like, I think I like grasped the main points as a kid.
Fair enough. It's just what so because I think about it and you look at these stories and they're all you look not the stories, you look at the games. You look at the games as they're released and they're all rated E. And I just have to look at it and think, wow, you can really pull off a really masterful story with a E rating. You know what I mean? Usually games like this, I would expect this kind of confusion out of a Hideo Kojima game and like the Metal Gear series more than I would out of a game series that's rated E and has derpy Disney characters in it. Like, would you ever look at this and be like, oh, I'm going to cry my heart out for this one character that everyone forgets at the end of it? I'm talking about 358 over 2, by the way.
Absolutely not,
You know
man.
what?
I like, it caught me by surprise for sure.
I expanded on 358 over 2. The more I think about it, the more I actually kind of like that air quotes game / story. I think it works out a lot better as a movie than a game.
I agree with that.
There are a lot of aspects to 358 over 2 that I think are vastly underrated by I would say a lot of the community, simply because it's just a movie and it just introduces a new girl that doesn't last long, literally at all. But I think that's exactly I'm sorry, I'm pivoting on a 358 over 2 point here, but I think that's kind of what makes 358 over 2 so special, insofar as they created a whole game to introduce a new girl that they literally kill off by the end of the game. I think that's tragic. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that's one of the more tragic things in the series.
I feel like doing that and introducing Shion and then just killing her, like it doesn't seem like there was really any real significance to doing it, right? Because it's not like she's not mentioned at all after that game. So what's really the point of introducing her when you already have, you have, so she's there to be a backup plan for if
Roxas
Xehanort
fails. Yeah.
can't assume Roxas as a vessel. So he wants to use Roxas because Roxas has the power of the Keyblade, because he's a split from Sora. So he creates Shion to be taught by Roxas to learn how to wield the Keyblade, with the intent that if he can't get Roxas, he'll use Shion instead. But it seems like a very confusing plot point to put into the game when it's never really ever going to be mentioned again.
Well, really, Shion's existence was put in there as a way to solidify Roxas as a character. Because, again, all we really get of Roxas in Kingdom Hearts 2 is the prologue, his first and last summer vacation, which also makes me
Right.
cry. That's all you really get of Roxas, and maybe I guess the end of 2, where he and Namine kind of talk to each other at the very end, before they join back up with Sora and Kairi respectively. So the idea was to expand upon. I keep wanting to call him Ventus, and that's really gonna screw with me. Expand upon Roxas's character and give him something to attach to. I guess more than Axel anyway. And really, if you think about Roxas's origins as not knowing who he was, where he came from, the only character that would be able to empathize with that and be able to like bounce off of would be a character like Shion, who likewise doesn't know where she came from and what their purpose is. But if you really think about what Shion did, Shion is really unique in the sense that she was the first organization member to question what their existence was, why
Right.
they were in the organization, what the organization is trying to do, and actively try to work against it. I think that's special in and of itself. Um, and being a close friend to Roxas, it's one of those things. It's just a theme of friendship that, again, I don't I think it's really like overlooked by a lot of people, simply because it's hidden in a movie, but I still think has certain significance, at least to Roxas. I guess it's really
Yeah,
hard
I
to
wish
say.
I knew. I wish I knew this part of the plot a little better. But what you're saying is reminding me of the, you know, Shion, Roxas, and Axel like on the
Hmm.
clock tower eating the ice cream and stuff. And it
Yep.
reminded me how like surprisingly like uh kind of in the background, Axel became a very dynamic big character
Yeah.
because at
Axel really
first,
grew. Yeah.
yeah, like kind of right under your nose, right? You kind of thought you knew what he was, but he kind of turns into a bigger player in the story because from what I remember, and I don't know where exactly this comes from, so if one of you guys can remind me, he like wants to take the mastery test, right, to be a
Right.
Keyblade master.
Yep.
And so that means he's probably poised to be a big part of Kingdom Hearts 3, right?
Yeah. So
Yes. Go ahead,
was that
Mark. End of
was
Dream
that
Drop Distance.
Dream Drop Distance?
Yep.
Yeah. He asks Yen Sid to take the mastery
He actually does pull off a
exam.
Keyblade. He
Yes,
does.
he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does.
It's just about a flick of the wrist. Oh. But it's interesting to point that fact because it just lends itself to this theme of trios. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I think everyone's aware of the fact that every Kingdom Hearts game revolves around three characters. But
Yep.
if you really think about Axel and his, so we're gonna jump forward a bit and just talk a little bit about what I would like, what I'm expecting to see by Kingdom Hearts 3. But if you think about Axel and what it is he is there for and what it is he's fighting for, at this point in time, like with everything that's happened in the entirety of the series up to date, Axel now needs to recover his friends that he's lost because he's lost both Roxas and he's lost Shion, even though he probably doesn't remember her. And also at the same time, as far as fighting the organization is concerned, his best friend, um, um,
Sayax.
Sayax or Sia, I think his original
Isa.
name is. Like he's still in,
Yeah.
yeah, Isa, that's what his name is. Like he's still in the organization, so he's trying to figure out why his best friend is still on the other side, while all the other remaining Organization 13 characters have woken up as their human forms, or at least a good brunt of Organization 13 have already woken up as their human forms, but his friend Isa didn't.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Just so I get this straight, the organization members are originally in there as humans. They were like the researchers with uh Apprentice Xehanort and Ansem, right?
Yes.
Yes, for the
Or
most part, almost all.
some of them were. So
Okay.
Zaldin, Axel, Zayax, I think Braig.
No, Braig was actually working for Xehanort.
Okay.
Zexion.
Zexion.
He was Ienzo, right? That kid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's one more. There was
Okay.
only 6 of them, and
Yeah.
then
2 of them were guards.
yeah, and then Chain of Memories had the other members,
and we don't know much about them.
Yeah,
we don't know much about Larxine's origins. We don't know
Yeah.
much about Dance Water Dance origins. I forgot his name.
Oh
That
yeah,
is-
and Lexius,
Lucia.
he was one of the researchers as well.
Right.
Cool.
So we
okay.
don't-
Cool.
yeah.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yep. So I just wanted to, while I was on the topic of Axel, I just wanted to point out the fact that he's able to wield a Keyblade. I think there's a good reason for that, because I'm gonna see if you guys are aware of this part of the lore, but you guys are aware of why Riku and Kairi are able to wield a Keyblade, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Because Riku was chosen by Terra.
Terra.
Yes.
And Kairi accidentally touched Aqua's blade.
Yeah.
That apparently works somehow. Even I have questions about that one. But
just works.
Yeah.
it just works. It just works. Fine. I'll take it at face value and not question that. But as far as Axel is concerned, Mark, did you play Ventus's route in BBS?
No, I'm
No.
still
Okay.
doing Terra's route.
Okay, so there's this point in Ventus's route in BBS where he actually encounters Isa and Lee.
You're right.
Uh,
I do know that as children.
yes, and
Hmm.
Lee actually goes over to Ventus when he first appears at Radiant Garden and picks up Ventus's toy Keyblade, Ventus's wooden Keyblade. So I think that
Interesting.
counts as
Yes.
counts
Yeah,
as him
I've
like
seen that.
picking up a Keyblade, and that's why he can wield one now because
Can
he was
could
also
I ask a
chosen.
question? Can I ask a question?
Go for it, sir.
So the plot of Kingdom Hearts 3 is, to what we understand, is like Master Xehanort is resurrected,
Mm.
and he is using the organization members as vessels for the parts of his heart and the like pieces of darkness, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
So
that's fair.
do you think that means that they automatically become like Keyblade wielders because they have the heart, a piece of Master Xehanort's heart in them?
That's a good question.
Hmm.
Let me think about that for a
Well,
second.
well,
Go
I
for it, Mark.
I would say no, because Xehanort has taken Braig or Zigbar as one of his vessels, and Zigbar doesn't use a Keyblade that we know of.
Okay.
Unless that'll be introduced in Kingdom Hearts 3. He
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't use
I'm
Keyblade.
going by logic here, and I know this game does not really
Yeah.
stick to logic very much.
Logic. Well, there
Yeah.
there is logic. It's just a question of will the logic make
Yeah.
clear
Also, Rob,
sense?
you're going by logic a bit too with the Axel thing, but then again, it has kind of shown a result of him being able to use it, so I think you're right there. I'm just kind of taking a shot in the dark.
It's. I mean, again, you do bring up a fair point that logic is very hard. Logic it depends on the eye of the beholder at this point because there are a lot of things that just they can or they I bet you there is underlying logic through for a lot of things, but some of them are easier to understand than the others.
Yeah.
Um,
Now here, so you kind of you want to go into a little bit of what we're thinking about Kingdom Hearts 3. And so um the way I understand it is that Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to be the end of like the Sora saga, correct?
yes. See,
It's
now this
supposed
is
to
the
be the
part.
last chapter of that.
Right. Now you guys are probably more aware of it because I was not actively conscious of a lot of the news going on at the time because I hadn't played Kingdom Hearts, but I think you guys would have been paying more attention to every single trailer as they were coming out. I think you would be more aware of it at that point than I am. So, like,
I actually kind of deliberate. I mean, I watched the trailers, but I wasn't trying to pick apart the pieces of it just because I didn't really want to know. But I think I heard.
it's
I don't
supposed to
want
be
to. I
the
don't want
end
to
of it's supposed
spread
to be the end
lies.
of a saga. I'm not sure which one
Yeah,
specifically, but I think the idea is it's
or
meant to
maybe
end
the
out Sora's
Xehanort
story.
saga.
True.
I'm not actually sure. Um, Mark, do you know, is Kingdom Hearts supposed to be the end of the Sora saga or the Xehanort saga or both? Is it because I know it's supposed to be the end of something, but I'm not exactly sure.
Well, because really, Kingdom Hearts, like all we've really learned about it was one of the main plots of Kingdom Hearts 2, right? Like they're trying to release all the hearts from the heartless up into the sky and to open Kingdom Hearts, and I would imagine that it has to be the conclusion of both. No, because
When you say both
both
referring,
Sora and Xehanort's saga,
I I would hope so.
maybe.
So I would hope so. Um, because then you
Because
would also want to close up BBS. I feel like BBS should also be closed up also in this route because
right,
BBS is very closely. Yeah, go ahead.
and the way the story has been trending, right? Like we've already seen from Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers that and leading all the way up to it, right? Like Aqua is still she's
She
lost
got
in
Norden.
she's
She
got
got
lost
Norden.
in the she's lost in the realm of darkness, and
Right.
part of what Sora, Riku, and Kairi are being tasked with now is
Gathering their
saving
ranks. Yeah.
saving Aqua, Ventus, and Terra. So I would
It's all for
imagine
the final battle, as the
all
actual trailer is called.
all of that has to come full circle at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, which will probably tie everybody's story together. I mean,
You
Axel,
see,
we've already seen Axel in trailers being pretty vital to the story, right? So
yeah.
I'm looking forward.
So, go Mark C. Just going back to what you were just trying to clarify, I do think we're trying to aim for a closure on the whole Xehanort business. I think it's especially going to focus on the closing on the Xehanort business, um, and entailing that, you would probably be wanting to close out Sora's story as well, because
Yeah.
Sora's and Xehanort's at this point are so closely intertwined, and so is Terra slash Aqua slash Ven's story as well. They're so closely intertwined with Xehanort that they should all be closing out at the same time.
Yeah,
The
I
things that I
I
don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
oh no,
Mark.
finish your
Oh,
thought. Finish
the
your thought.
thing that I don't think is gonna get closed up, or at least not completely, will most likely lie. And this is my conjecture. I think the thing that won't get closed up quite fully would have to pertain to Axel. I think
Mm-hmm.
Axel has a lot of potential that probably won't be completed in one game. Because
So
I
so
think.
that
Go ahead.
keep going, keep going, keep
Um,
going.
because my thinking here is really Axel's main motivation is to get his friends back. I mean, uh, it's Roxas, it's Shion, and getting those three back together. And those aren't particularly um specific or tied to the whole Xehanort saga. It's just one. It's I want to call it a side thing, but it's important. But it's just one of those extra things that is vital, but not again necessary to the whole beating Xehanort business. It's just another one of the whole sufferings that Sora is holding in his heart, because obviously he's holding on to both Shion and Roxas in his heart,
Yeah.
right? So that's my thought
So
on it.
so what I was gonna ask, and maybe this is a better question that we'll be able to answer after Kingdom Hearts 3, but like where would you like to see it go next if we do tie up the Sora and Xehanort arcs? Rob, obviously you said Axel, but Mark, what about you? Where would you like to see the story go after that?
I would like to see like something. So it's really hard to kind of like get the right words for this, because basically what they've done is like they've created such a big tangled web of stuff that we all love and everything. So I feel like if they're gonna end this saga, they've got to start from zero again. Not necessarily saying like, you know, no more Heartless, no more organization, no more blah blah blah, but maybe like new casts of characters, like just maybe take something taking place elsewhere, or maybe a lot of time later, where we don't have to hold on, like where basically the lore of this first uh uh saga is like something that can help, like, give context to something new, but not necessarily is vital to it. Because I think, like for me, like if we continued maybe a storyline of an Axel, that would be awesome, and I would be so on board for it.
Agreed.
However, like I think there's gonna reach a point, if it hasn't already, where like people might want a reset on the storyline, and I think that would be a good time to do it, right? Once
I
the
mean,
once
when
the
you say
Sora stuff is
reset,
over.
you can still have a reset with Axel. You don't have to have any more attachments to the organization, or to really, you don't really have to have a lot of attachment to anything at that point.
Yeah, let,
If
let
they
me let
clear
me
out
sorry.
Xehanort. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me clarify. I guess what I mean is, yeah, you're if they were to continue with Axel post the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm thinking maybe that might be too plot involved. But maybe if it's like a different portion of Axel's like kind of defecting and learning about what's going on behind the scenes, the organization, like happening, off screen so far, maybe that would be pretty cool.
I mean, Axel pretty much. So I'm just making sure you understand that Axel's quit the organization. You do get that part, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But like
Oh, that makes sense. I'm sorry. I might have missed that part of the sentence.
like his
So.
defecting from the organization, like maybe some like untold stories, leading up to stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see. I see what you're getting at. That's a fair point. And yeah, you're right. Also, but you have such a well-established like world that's built like here in like all of Kingdom Hearts up to this point. I don't. It'd be difficult to have a completely clean break. I think without at least back referencing stuff that's happened.
Yeah. But I know that would be kind of difficult, but it's because they've basically, like I said, made such a huge web of plot lines and stuff. But I think for like the good of you know, one, like just cleanliness, and two, accessibility and new people and everything,
Yeah.
like the roots of this is like a high fantasy story taking place in like the worlds of Disney, right? If it goes
Hmm.
back to those roots with a new cast of characters, I think that would be pretty sweet.
That's a fair point. No, I'm sorry. I left halfway through because I just thought about something. A Xehanort's main purpose is to rebalance dark and light and darkness, which leads to me thinking B that he's pretty much um, uh, crap. Uh, you know what? I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it later. I lost my train of thought.
Okay, well, I just want to. This is a thought I had from before. Knowing, or at least expecting, that this is the end of the like Sora story, uh, means that, man, I am eagerly but also dreadfully anticipating the inevitable tragic ending of whatever happens to Sora's story, because he's been the one pure character throughout the whole thing, and he's been like pretty much uncompromised and always been like happy go lucky, and you know that something terrible and tragic is going to happen
Oh
to him
yeah.
at the end
He
of this.
screams in the trailer. I mean, I think
Oh
that's
man.
the most suffering he's
Oh.
shown.
Yeah.
I get
I mean, like, when is
goosebumps
the
just
last time
thinking
you've seen
about it.
Sora suffering?
Mm.
I'm thinking about it and
When
nothing
he
comes to
turned
mind.
into a heartless.
Oh yeah, that's real
E-
suffering. I don't think even aware
even
of it.
still, I don't know if he really was, you know,
Cause like
suffering.
now he has a weight on his shoulders because he didn't pass the Mark of Mastery exam. The Mark of
Which
Mastery.
is kind of ridiculous in and of itself, right?
Well,
That
I
like
think that would have been too easy of an out
you
if he
go
won
through
it outright.
so much as Sora, and you don't even pass the mark of mastery. Like that kind of sucks.
It does. Well, the thing is, I think it's valid. I also think that it's a nice change up because you always, in these sorts of games, you always expect the main character to get everything that he's supposed to get. So I think it's a nice change up just to see the fact that Riku was able to get that. I think that's a really good clincher to Riku's whole story of self redemption. But also, insofar as B, giving Sora like a reason to contemplate a lot of different things and, see that he isn't, the hero that gets to win everything. Because now I think the current point of the story is that because of the events at Dream Top Distance, he's lost a lot of his power, so he needs to gain all of it back. So, it's good to show that our main character isn't invincible and always
Hmm.
powerful and that sort of thing. That's my aspect on it, anyway. Sorry, I went a little dead space there. I'm just gonna revisit the topic that I said that I lost my train of thought, though. It's because I was just thinking that Xehanort and Thanos are just extremely similar in their purposes. So what if Xehanort just ends up, snapping his fingers?
Well,
Oh
I mean,
no.
he's it seems from the trailers it might be the way that he's going, right? Like I imagine that in Kingdom Hearts 3 he's got to find out who the rest of his vessels are, right?
I would hope so, cause so in Dream Drop Distance, we only see a certain subsect of the organization or the new Organization 13, right? I think we only see like 6 of them. So we
Yeah,
see we
y-
see
there's Sayax, there's Zigbar,
yep.
there's Old Man Xehanort,
Yep.
right?
Uh-huh.
There's Zemnis,
Mhm.
young,
Ansem.
young, young oh yeah, Ansem
Ansem. Young
and
Xehanort.
young Xehanort,
That's
right?
6. Yep.
Or would hold on, is it young Xehanort or is it Terranort?
It's young Xehanort. Terranort's not anywhere to be seen just yet.
Okay,
He
okay.
should be there though, so you can count him as 7 if you want. But that's 7 out
Uh,
of 13. 6 or
okay.
7
Well,
out of
we'll say
13.
6.5 right
6.5.
now, because
You're not
because
wrong.
I think it would be a grave disservice to the Birth by Sleep story if Terranort never gets cleared up.
Agree. I think you have to approach that fact if you're trying to,
If
defeat Xehanort for good and save everyone from their hurting. You need to figure out the whole Terra Nort situation. Actually, that would be the good first thing to clear out. Get rid of a half of
yeah,
Xehanort.
yeah. Well, it's funny because you just made a comparison to this being like Thanos, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got another comparison that this Xehanort storyline is kind of like. It's kind of like Voldemort, and
Horcruxes.
how
Horcruxes.
Voldemort split his soul into 7 Horcruxes. This is exactly what Xehanort is doing. I see what you did here, Square. I know what you're doing.
Who ripped off who though? Who ripped
Right.
off who? Because
Well, that's
Horcruxes was
exactly
way
it.
back. But then again, so's the
oh.
story of Kingdom Hearts 2, right? Or 3? No, 2.
Hey,
Oh.
Hey, welcome back. Mark with the
Oh,
C
man.
disappeared for a minute.
my internet like
Mark got
kind of
thrown into
went
the
out.
realm of darkness for a second.
Yeah.
Did you get Norded too?
Yeah, I got
Oh,
Norded.
Oh, God.
They locked the keyhole on my internet.
Jesus.
Sorry
Now
about
he's
that.
back.
Yeah.
He's back.
Welcome back. Don't worry, you
Yeah.
didn't miss much. But Mark K.
Cool.
So I don't know. What was the last? Did you hear me make my comparison of Xehanort to shoot? I keep forgetting his freaking
Thanos?
name. To Thanos. Yeah. Did you hear me say that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So basically, what I said was, Xehanort's whole schmick, his whole shtick is balancing light and darkness. So he wants to
Mhm.
cover everything in darkness, so everything gets a reset. It's kind of very similar to Thanos wanting to balance out everything. And before you know it, Xehanort might just snap his fingers. I don't know. Mark with the K was coming up with another alternative comparison.
Yeah, I was saying that Xehanort's plan of 13 vessels is the same thing as Voldemort and Harry Potter with 7
Yeah.
Horcruxes.
Horcruxes.
Interesting parallel, but I that just gave me a thought, not the Voldemort thing, but the balancing of light and dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think though, since when the Keyblade, the X-Blade, sorry, let's call it the X-Blade, not the Keyblade, because we'll get very
really
confused. So the X-Blade shatters into 7 shards of light and 13
in
shards of darkness.
That's not balanced, right?
How is he trying to bring balance to the light and the dark if darkness is already like it's not like there's 13 shards of light and 7 shards of darkness. Like, you've already technically won. So
there's more pieces of darkness than light. How does that work?
Does that mean that the 7 shards of light are more powerful than the shards of darkness? Like that's something that I don't think quite makes a lot of sense with his whole agenda.
See, that's a good point. I never really understood that. I've always stopped and I thought about it. I'm like, why does it have to be 13 and 7? Did they just want an excuse to use the numbers 7 and 13? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense outside of that.
I unfortunately think that they made Organization 13 way early on because it sounded cool, and then they were like, well,
they were stuck.
Now let's retcon a little bit and all right, so there's 13 of them, they can each be a vessel, right? And then
there were 7 princesses last game.
Yeah, what are their counterparts, the princesses? So maybe they just had this rounds up to 20. It makes a bigger number. I mean, I don't know if that's true.
You're saying they basically, retconned it, and we're like, well, we might as well just say the seven princesses is their equal, since we already used them as the plot device from
yeah, maybe it's totally a little cynical to think that, but I feel like it could be possible.
I could see that
because I don't think they had the foresight of where this would go when they made Chain of Memories, which was the first time you heard about Organization 13.
Right.
So I think it's possibly something to do with the weird imbalance of the number 13, and who knows.
Unless what they're trying to say is that by Xehanort having to split himself into 13 vessels makes the darkness itself weaker than the light. But I'm not going to think about that too much, because that's
you'll break your brain.
That goes way beyond.
Yeah, perhaps there's something in 3 where maybe those that excess of 3 shards of darkness, maybe there's like 3 maybe that represents like 3 uh vessels that maybe are not, maybe they're compromised or
Or
something.
they're
Maybe
in
that
the
is more of a
middle.
gray
Well,
area.
okay. Well, you know
There you
what?
go.
That makes sense then, because Axel was supposed to be one of the vessels, right? And since he was a
Mhm.
member of the organization and he defected, uh, Roxas is lost,
But he
and
also defected too when he was in the
he
organization, and
yep.
so did Shion. Boom, 3. Yo, did
But
we
that
just
was,
So
solve
who
something?
knows?
I don't know, because that still leaves an 11. That's an 11-10 split right there.
Sora's in the
Something
middle.
something doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It never adds up. Wait. 7. I can't do math anymore. No, you're right.
Right, because Shion is the 14th member
Well,
of the
she's the 14th
organization.
insofar as the fact that she was a member. But if you think about it, she's the 14th member of Organization 13. It
Mhm.
already goes out the window when you start going that tangent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of weird.
Oh man,
That's an interesting
that's
point,
too
though.
much for my poor brain to grasp.
Again, you go too deep into Kingdom Hearts, so your brain might not make it out of the darkness in one piece.
Yeah.
You,
That's
you know
true.
what? I'll say this. I bet they'll explain it in Kingdom Hearts 3, and if they don't, I'll be asking this question again at the end of Kingdom Hearts.
Or maybe they will explain it in Kingdom Hearts 3, but you just won't understand it the first time around.
10 years from now, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, when Kingdom Hearts 3.5 Final Mix comes out, right?
Yeah. Whew.
But just so I'm actually we're keeping on Kingdom Hearts 3 for a second here, but we're gonna talk about technical aspects here. A thought that didn't occur to me is, but like should have, is that I got far too spoiled with the collections being as pristine as they are. They might not run at a smooth frame rate in Kingdom Hearts 3 on the PS4. Um, so my logic here is based on I played all of 2.8, right? And that's sort of like the precursor to Kingdom Hearts 3. And I noticed a couple of things. One, it's rendered at 900p or something like that because everything's jaggedy. And two, it doesn't run fluidly at 60 frames per second. Now, I'm not trying to make this an argument about frames per second. What I'm making it more of an argument of is I hope they at least lock the frame rate at a consistent pace instead of trying to go for 60 and not being able to achieve it and sinking anywhere between 30 and 45 or 45 and 60. If I'm going to be playing on a PS4 regular, I hope they lock it. It's probably at 30 frames per second, but I hope they lock the frame rate so it'll actually feel good and not dropping frames on me.
They planned for this, That's why they had the PS4 Pro bundle.
Oh yeah, which you're going to get, but you're not going to get on launch day, are you?
No, I'm not. But I'm diving into the realm of darkness until I finish that game. I'll tell you that right now.
You better.
You're just gonna like completely black out, just not hear anything, not see anything, not listen to us say anything about it. Good luck with that. I'm just a little. It's only a slight concern. I hope they don't. I hope it plays well. I just hope that it's not rendered at 900p again like they did for 2.8. That's all I'm saying. I hope they do well.
I don't know if I would trust Square to like I don't know if I would just I mean, so what? Near Automata was published by Square, not developed. They were developed by Square and Platinum. That was a consistent 60 if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, it was.
I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think of something to go on, basically.
Right, and that's the thing. It's kind of so there are news articles around saying that the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One, they can go to 60, but they never actually say whether it's a fluid 60. I think us on the base, so Mark C and I think we're kind of SOL slightly, but again, Kingdom Hearts 2 originally on the PS2 was a 30 frame per second game, so I don't think it'll be terrible. I just don't want it to be like we're gonna try to shoot for 60, not be able to do it, and then throttle your frames. Because that feels really bad. 2.8 does that a few times. It feels really bad.
Yeah, are you talking about Dream Drop in particular, or are you talking
no,
about
0.2? I'm sorry. I mean to say 0.2. Numbers are hard. I keep saying this. 0.2. It's poor. It's really cool, but it's just poorly implemented, and it drops frames really bad when there's a lot of things on the screen. Again, this was their first PS4 game, and this was like a year or so ago. So I'm gonna hope that they optimized it. I just if they're gonna do something, I just hope they don't try to be too egregious and just lock the frame rate fixed instead of trying to aim for the highest ever frame rate. That's all I'm saying.
So maybe what they should do is they should put settings in the game to either lock your frame rate or unlock your frame rate if you're playing on a pro.
That would be nice.
I mean that would be the easiest way to fix that.
But developers aren't very smart when it comes to
Well,
optimizing for people.
you're right about that.
That's the unfortunate part. But again, I'm just saying, I was only concerned when I played point two. I will be cautiously optimistic into the future. It's one of those things that I'm looking out for and hope that I don't see. Like,
Yeah,
because the trailers
now
look so cool.
they do. So, Rob, you
Yes, sir.
played Kingdom Hearts 2 most recently out of all of us. Do you remember what your general play time was?
Um, but it was close to the average. That's how I was able to devise my play time, or devise my cutoff points. I want to say it was like no 20. I think was closer to my BBS. I think it was longer than that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Whatever the average was for Kingdom Hearts 2, that's I think what mine was. I remember seeing it, but I don't remember the exact value. Was it closer
So
to 30?
if we say 20, 25, let's just meet in the middle, say 25. Do you like one, what is your expectation, and two, what is your like ideal length, like, general, like, valuable non-repeated like content in the game for Kingdom Hearts 3 that you would like to see?
Um,
Like
non-repeated,
something around the similar? Yeah, yeah, meaning like basically, you can do
like the essential stuff. You mean like
yeah,
plot
like
stuff?
no, well, like you could do BBS in order to unlock everything. You have to play through everyone's plot multiple times or something, right? Or you might
Mm-hmm.
have to do the same thing multiple times in each person's plot. But to have like, how much like valuable, like kind of unique-ish content would you
Do I want to
want
see?
to
Like, how much
see?
time
Yeah.
do I want to see? Like, what would I expect the average game length be? Like for the
Yeah,
core
like how
game?
much do you want to invest in it? How
I
much do you
hear
want
you.
there to
I
be
get it.
to invest in it?
Yep. Especially considering like the vast array of characters that they have, I hope that they are able to take that to a maximum. To actually be able to take advantage of them to the best of their capabilities. In order to do that, I would say, at least 30, 35 hours. At least 35 hours, I think would be reasonable. I don't want to be able to blitz through it like I was able to do for 1 and 2. I think I get a pass with that because they were simplistic-ish for their time, but I would like I would like it to be a little more intricate to the point where it actually involves at least that much amount of time to, enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, what about you?
Uh, hmm.
I feel like 35 is a decent number as a
So so
minimum, maybe 40, 35 to 40.
so I think the second time I played through Kingdom Hearts 1, my playtime was probably closer to like 40 hours because I spent a little extra time, getting all a bunch of the collectibles in the game. And then I think in Kingdom Hearts 2, I was probably around the same because I was playing through on Proud, so it was it was a little difficult from time to time. So I would be okay with it being around 35 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, but the thing is,
I
I'm sorry, I just wanted to point out that we also saw a lot of optional side content, including like the classic world, and a lot. So I would like to see not mini games, but side content that's a little more interesting than the 100 Acre Wood.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the 100 Acre Wood is coming back,
Oh, great. Why?
and
Why is it always mini
I
games? Why can't they do something
and
else with the 100 Acre Wood?
well, I would assume the reason is they don't want. Actually, you know what? That doesn't make any sense because it's like, oh, you don't want to see a bunch of stuffed animals get ripped apart, right?
Yeah, Toy
Because
Story,
yeah, but then yeah, like Toy Story completely destroys that logic. I never understood that. Actually,
right?
now that you mention it,
It
and,
makes
and
no
it's and,
sense.
and it's not even like the mini games they're just a little bit of a chore. Like I never they don't really do anything for you.
They don't. They're either there for A, really casual players that just want to relax, or B, to really piss off completionists.
And like I think in some situations they gave you like a synthesis material that you needed to get, but like other than that, like I don't never really saw a point to doing them.
I mean, the most I can say about the 100 Acre Wood is at least I like the music it has. That's really it. Otherwise, I never spent much time in there doing many of the mini games. So I think it's a shame, at least for me, because I can fully understand that they make these games to have as many things to do as possible. So it's like, Kingdom Hearts 2, and it has, 100 Acre Wood. Birth by Sleep, they have the whole Disney, the Disney world
Yeah,
where,
Disney
you get
Town.
to Disney Town, where you get to race and do things and play, like, tennis with fruits and stuff, with the idea as being, it's more than just the main story. You get to play some fun mini games on the side, but at the same time, as a person that wants to enjoy the story, I would like to see more of the content be focused around that. And based on
Right.
a lot of the preliminary, like, opinions, or I think I saw a couple of articles or tweets just saying that Kingdom Hearts 3 might not be as packed as previous games because they have made everything else more expansive, like the combat system, which probably takes up more space, stuff like that. I have like split thoughts about that.
That'll be disappointing if it's a shorter game because they improve like
Well,
if
no,
they
I don't think
improve
it's shorter. I just think that they didn't put as much like mini game stuff into it. That's
Oh,
my view on it.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
if
Yeah.
that's the case, by all means,
It's like trimming
let
the fat,
less mini games is a huge plus in my book.
It might also possibly mean less worlds. Now, what would you? So I'm not sure. I don't know what the source is, so I'm not treating that as a fact. But what would be your opinion if it had less worlds than Kingdom Hearts 2? More than BBS, but less than Kingdom Hearts 2.
I don't think I would mind. I think that like what I'm coming here for is the heavy plot rich stuff. So I
Agree.
don't really care where that takes place. I am excited for some of the new worlds that were announced. Like they seem really cool and that really gives flavor to the game, but I think ultimately I will be more disappointed if what they sacrifice is main plot for Disney and not the other way around.
Yeah.
Agree. I would rather have it be more about Sora's story and how they're tying things up with Xehanort than wasting my time playing with Big Hero 6. Which is fine. I like Big Hero 6, but I mean, go ahead.
It's especially if they're trying to conclude Sora's story here. It would be really unfortunate if you still have to have like 3 visits or 2 visits to the Disney worlds to clear up like Disney stories when you could have focused that story writing
On Sora.
on
And
Sora,
cast.
Axel, and all that. So, I mean, that still remains to be seen. I mean, we still have a week before it comes
It's
out.
literally a week. Wow, I can't
Oh God.
agree. But I agree. I would
I'm so
rather
excited.
have, as Mark C was saying, I would rather have the ratio lean more towards Sora's story, even if it comes at the expense of Disney stories. I would be fine with that, especially because that's what this story is meant to be about. So I would very much like to see that. I'd be very sad if it weren't. But again, time we have yet to see after all. But yeah, we've been talking very heavy about our Kingdom Hearts 3 expectations. Let's backtrack a little bit. Let's pick something else from the best pile that we have in the freaking agenda.
All right.
that we have.
Why don't we do something a little whimsical, huh? Why don't
Let's
we
do that.
we could do either music, we could
Ooh.
do keyblades.
Let's start with the simple one. Let's start with favorite cameo. I feel like we could ease into the bests with a smaller one.
So when you
Ah,
say
cool.
favorite cameo, I didn't get to clarify this beforehand, but when you say favorite cameo, are we talking like just the worlds and like the guest characters that show up, or are we talking like Final Fantasy cameos?
I was thinking
Both.
more along the lines of like a Final Fantasy character.
Okay.
Just
But
anything? Okay, if
but
anything goes, I'd have to think for a minute.
but I could open that up to being, to including, you know, Disney characters that they added into the game, because I mean, it's a Square game featuring Disney characters, so it's like, you can make a case for both.
I mean, I originally opened up the idea for Disney, but I'm just gonna like circle it back around again and just come back to just Square Enix cameos, because really the cameo that really sticks out to my mind is the World Ends With You cameos in Dream Top Distance. I really liked seeing that. That made me very happy. I like the World Ends With You. I liked seeing them there in Traverse Town, but it didn't take full advantage of their characters per se, but it did fill out just about enough about these World Ends With You characters to capture their essence of what they were about. Plus, the music that they introduced was really cool too. So that's my short list. I need to think for a little bit longer if anything else comes to mind, because I think you guys probably have a better idea now that you have like a full view of what this topic's about. Either of you guys go ahead and take one.
Mark, you can go first.
Okay. So in my heart, my favorite cameos are the Final Fantasy X ones. So that would be Tidus Waka from 1, Orin from 2, and I believe, I could be wrong about this, I might be remembering incorrectly, but I believe the Golings make a cameo as well at some point.
Yeah,
But that's from 10 too.
they're in Kingdom
They're in
Hearts
2.
2.
Yep.
Yes.
They're in they're in Hollow Bastion.
Yes.
You talked about
So-
this actually. I think I clipped it and put it on Twitter for you. You
Oh,
talked about how those
yes,
three
you're
were
right.
your waifus.
Oh, yes. But I was talking about them from the perspective of their original game, I believe. Right?
Right.
I
Yes,
don't
you
know.
were.
But yeah, but yes. So I love that there's so many characters from those two games in there. But something I will say that I think is pretty cool that is done better with other characters is there's actually kind of a plot going on between Cloud and Sephiroth
Mhm.
that they kind of weave into the games, and I think that's cool that they decided to do that. Like they got more attention, which I think is awesome. But like I said, in my heart, it's the Final Fantasy X characters.
Yeah, I'd probably say mine would be Cloud and Sephiroth. And it like you were saying, they in Final Fantasy, or not Final Fantasy, in Kingdom Hearts 1, they're just they're just extra bosses in the game, right? Like Cloud you just encounter in the Olympus Coliseum. Sephiroth ends up as being a super boss after
Mhm.
you beat the game, and then when you get to Final Fan, or I did it again. When you get to Kingdom Hearts 2, you can, well, Cloud and Sephiroth is like, tell Cloud I'm over here, at like that
Mhm.
cliffside, and in the what is it, the I can't think of what the name of it is.
The name of the area.
Yeah, it's
It's like by the Keyblade.
yeah,
No, where you
it's
like
all
that
the
gulch
way.
thing.
Yeah, it's all the way at the end of Hollow Bastion. Uh, I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's that big fissure in the ground, but he's kind of at a little peak near it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think tell me if I'm wrong, but don't you go there in the story, and doesn't Maleficent fight or hold off Sephiroth? Isn't Sephiroth there in the main story too?
I'm trying to think.
In the main
Because
story,
you're
like
with
the main
you're
plot.
with
Like Sephiroth shows up.
you're with Tifa, I believe, in the main plot. Like
Yes.
Tifa helps you
Yeah,
through
Tifa
some area.
she kicks open the doorway to get to Tron's world in or Hollow Bastion in Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I like that Sephiroth is waiting there at the end of the game.
Yeah.
and then when you go up to him, he's like, all right, we're fighting, and then after you beat him, I think you get a Keyblade based off of Cloud's Buster Sword, which I think is really sick.
Yeah. Super cool.
So here's the thought, though, on the topic of Final Fantasy and their or like their presence in Kingdom Hearts. Do you guys still think that these Final Fantasy VII characters are still relevant in like where we are in Kingdom Hearts now? So the idea was back when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, Final Fantasy VII was still on its like, it's on its high. Um, it was still massively popular and well known in the populace, and they just wanted to take advantage of that while they still could. We are now 17 years past that point. Do you think having these Final Fantasy VII characters around is still relevant, if they're even still in the game? Not even sure if they
I
are,
mean,
because we didn't see them in Dream Drop Distance
I
or
think I
Birth by
would
Sleep.
like to see them come back in some capacity, but I don't think it'll be, you know, it'll probably be like at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 where you have an optional super boss. That's the only thing I could think of.
Well, the just trying to think of for like the reason why they would be there is, I mean, one, they are still like beloved characters, but beyond that, there is a Final Fantasy VII official remake in the works. So I
Yeah,
would think
it'll
maybe
be
as
out in 2000,
some sort of like
2054.
cross promotion, but that's the thing, like it's been announced, and so like any kind of keeping the brand relevant seems like something that they'd probably be interested in doing. I don't think they'd be big parts of the story, probably just as small as they've always been, but like now they're kind of established characters in that world. I mean, they even have like Sid in the games and
Yeah.
stuff. Like I don't think I agree with you, Mark, that probably the Sephiroth super boss fight will probably be another thing that they do for 3 because they did it for 1 and 2. But I could see them being in there. I
Right,
think
but
they'll add the Final Fantasy 15 characters. I
there,
think they'll do.
yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. Like, consider it from the alternative point. We've had several Final Fantasies since Kingdom Hearts 1. Do you
I
think
want
they'd
lightning.
rotate?
I want lightning.
Lightning.
Yeah.
What
Do you
about
think they'd
snow?
do it? That wouldn't be a bad thought. I think that it's possible within the realm. It's within the realm of possibility, rather. I think it would make
So
more sense than sticking with Final Fantasy VII. I mean, the original OP, the original crap IP for Final Fantasy VII is older. Even though they are, yes, it will get remade. The original IP is like so many years old now. To me, in my mind, it makes more sense to have something based on more current IP or one that's more recent.
I would say if they really wanted to be sadistic, what they could do is put a cup in the Olympus Coliseum of just all Final Fantasy characters
I'm
and
for it.
make it balls hard.
Now
Like
that would be interesting.
I could see that being the perfect way to incorporate all the Final Fantasy games since the release of Kingdom Hearts 2 to put those characters in some capacity.
That would be interesting to see. Especially since Olympus Coliseum is definitely going to be back in the game. I think Olympus Coliseum is one of those consistent things about the franchise, is it not? It's been in every game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think
Even
it's
Birth by Sleep.
it was yep. It was in Birth by Sleep, and one thing I applaud them for doing is making it more, at least in from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2, making it more explorable. How you have the underworld Coliseum in
Right.
Kingdom Hearts 2, whereas in Kingdom Hearts 1 all you had was
The Coliseum. And that was it.
the Coliseum was just okay. You go to the Coliseum, you fight in these cups, and then you leave. So, well,
The thing about the Coliseum that always kind of grinded my gears was the fact that there's supposed to be an audience somewhere and you hear them cheering, you don't see them anywhere.
yeah, the
I always thought
stands
that
are
was
just
weird.
completely empty.
I'm
Oh,
like, does no one
you
watch
remember
these
this?
things?
Remember
What's
this? Jump on the Hydra's back.
Yeah.
Over and over again forever.
Oh yes.
I never understood that. Are you supposed to be able to do that? Because I don't think I ever did.
Yeah.
No, I think you do. You jump on his back, but the thing is, he just keeps yelling it like you
I-
don't already know.
Oh, that yes.
I
mean, that
think
especially.
that's part of a reaction command
It is.
in Kingdom Hearts 2.
It
But
is.
Rob, what's your favorite cameo? Did you say it already?
No, I did. I said World Ends With You characters.
Now, hold
But
on.
I mean, I don't have a Kingdom Hearts I don't have a Final Fantasy attachment, so I can't really go there.
I have a question. Does the does the Lingering Will in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix count as a cameo? Because if it does, I would like to change mine to that.
I mean, that's a secret boss. I mean, Sephiroth is also technically a secret boss. So if you want to
Yes,
lump those two together,
but it's like at first you're just like, okay, this is obviously just a super boss, and no one really, and you don't really know who it is unless you play Birth by Sleep.
BBS.
Then you know, oh, that's Terra's suit of armor. Do you guys consider it a cameo? Because if you do, I wish.
I'll allow it. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll open it up to it. I think it's fair. It's a fair game. It's an
Can
additional
I-
character. Why not?
Can I? So now I'm gonna kind of move this to a new segment, but on the same topic. Speculation. Who do you think will be like the new cameos? And we're not talking about. I'm asking to think outside of the box a bit because we know Final Fantasy will probably have some new characters in there. But here's what I think: 2B from Nier Automata and Dante from Devil May Cry. That's what I think. Do you
I
guys
feel
have
like
any?
Dante is more of a meme pick, but okay.
But there's a new Devil May Cry coming out.
Yeah,
so...
there is. You're not wrong. I
Well,
just think it's
if-
more of a joke.
You know what? If we're going there, Mario is gonna be in it because Cloud is in Super Smash Bros. and in Kingdom Hearts, so they're gonna
All
put
right.
I don't think they'll ever get actually, and Dream Drop Distance, and oh, you know what? Done. Mario's gonna be in it.
Because they were on a Nintendo console.
He's
QED.
gonna
There
be
you go.
and you know what? He's just gonna be a statue sitting on a shelf somewhere. He's not gonna interact with you at all. He's gonna be in the background somewhere. I'm calling.
So I totally agree on the Nier Automata thing. I think it's a stretch because you also got Platinum working on it. But to counter that stretch, it's also the point that Nier has made it into. It's crossed over into several fighting games, so it's not outside the realm of reality. I thought that'd be really cool if that were the case. What other Square like Dragon Quest might be something you can delve into.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I was gonna say it's a shame that IO and Square Enix separated because that could have made the possibility of Agent 47 being in it.
But guys,
Oh
wait,
my God.
wait, what about if I mean, considering we're talking about Square stuff, why not Octopath Traveler?
Ooh.
Oh,
Imagine.
Oh my
Ooh, imagine that. I'd be so excited to see
that would be excellent.
But Mark,
My
which of
only-
the eight would you pick to be in this?
Oh. Oh.
Definitely
mean-
not Hanet.
Yeah, definitely not Hanet. I
Don't you wanna
could
hear that English,
see.
though?
I could
No.
see. I could see
Thou seest?
Ulbrich.
Okay.
I could
Ulbrich?
see Ulbrich because Ulbrich has the sort of feel of like Orin, where you could
Mhm.
just run across him and then he'll join you to fight through a certain world with you, and then he'll leave. But oof.
It's a good thought, right?
You know what would be interesting is if they changed the shopkeeper from the Moogle
Ooh.
to like Tressa.
Yeah. Oh, that
Oh.
would be really cool.
Well, I don't think you'll be able to get rid of Final Fantasy that well. Final Fantasy, I mean,
Well, yeah.
It's a Moogle.
I think the Moogle is going to stay around, but you know, if we're
It's a
talking
nice
about
thought.
if we're thinking about dreams here, that'd be pretty
Yeah.
neat. But my
You're
only
right.
thing is Octopath Traveler came out too far into the development of Kingdom
That's
Hearts
true.
3 that they probably, if they were even put into the game in some regard, would not be put into the capacity of, say, Cloud or Sephiroth.
Yeah, I agree
True.
with that.
I agree with that. That's a shame. Mark with a C? Any thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are 2B and
Oh yeah, you said that.
Dante.
I'm sorry. I forgot you started off with that. Those are
Yeah.
all fun points though.
Well, we'll see. We'll see because you know what made me think of that when you said that The World Ends With You had a cameo. Well, then that means that like it's not just Final Fantasy. So it could be their other properties too.
You're absolutely right. It's a very valid point. Now, think about it retroactively. It's like anything by Square Enix should be fair game if you're able to
Yeah.
have The World Ends With You. And that's not even Final Fantasy, so
True, true,
why
true.
not? That will be exciting to see. Do you think we'll see? You think we'll see them if we see Final Fantasy characters? Do you think we'll see them in Radiant or Hollow Bastion again? Do you think Hollow Bastion will be fixed by now?
I hope
I don't
so
know.
because I love the music from Hollow
Yeah.
Bastion.
It's like, I mean, what kind of worlds do you think that we'll revisit in this game? I mean, we know of the Disney worlds that we might, Toy Story,
I
Big
mean,
Hero 6,
I
but
I assume we'll see the world that never was in some capacity. Maybe.
World That
Mhm.
Never Was. I think that's a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
considering that's their base of operations,
I
right?
I think we will finally see Kingdom Hearts. It's got to be
Yeah, it's like
it's got to
revealed what
be
it is.
a playable
A world?
world
So wait,
in the
let's
game.
backtrack. What the hell is Kingdom Hearts? I started playing this series hoping I would
Ooh.
understand. I don't think I'm any closer to understanding than I
Ugh,
was when I
this
started.
is like this is like the ultimate question because there's really no indication. They're just like they want it. Xehanort
It's
just
like
wants
it is power, it is light, it is darkness,
It is everything.
it is wisdom. It's just sort of like, but what is it? What
Like
is it? As I choke something.
as of right now, the only thing we can say is that it's the name of this game franchise.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
it's
You're
like
not
the
wrong. It's exactly what it
collection.
is. But if
It's
you
like
think
a collection of hearts, right? Isn't that kind of what it was
Right.
described as?
So that's what Kingdom Hearts 2 has us believe is that Kingdom Hearts is just the collection of things that have lost their heart. Right?
I mean, that's specifically the Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2.
Right,
That's how they
right. But
ended up generating a whole bunch of nobodies.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like according to Kingdom Hearts 2, that is
Yes.
what Kingdom Hearts is. And
Well,
do
the
they
kingdom. It's specifically the Kingdom Hearts that is in Kingdom Hearts 2 that
right,
organization was trying to make. Yes.
and
Yeah,
but
so the
that
artificial one.
yeah,
That's
so
the
like
artificial
but
one. Yeah.
does any other game hint at what Kingdom Hearts actually is?
So the understanding I got from Birth by Sleep was the Kingdom Hearts that shows up in Birth by Sleep is the air quotes true Kingdom Hearts because it signifies the true hearts of all worlds, not just people, but of actual worlds. Um, Apparently that showed up when they had that big ass Keyblade war, when the light was fighting against the darkness, and you needed the Keyblade to open the door to get to that Kingdom Hearts. All right, I just made that sentence and I'm already confused. So
Yep.
I can speak the sentences, I can say the words, but whether they'll actually make sense is a completely different story.
Yeah. Well, it
Uh,
only exists. Kingdom Hearts only shows itself when the X Blade exists.
Yes,
That's
Right.
why
and the
Xehanort
X
wants
Blade.
to make it again.
So
Yes, I think.
so if I had to take a stab at it, like you said, it probably once the X blade, the Kai blade, the key blade, whatever you want to call it, is created. I'm assuming that the realms of light and dark will create Kingdom Hearts, right? Is that a good theory? I don't know. We'll find out.
Ugh.
Will we
Does,
find out though? Will
does,
we?
does the Kai blade unlock the keyholes of the light and the dark and then create Kingdom Hearts? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, Kingdom
Yeah.
Hearts already exists. It's just shrouded from view. It's there above.
It
the
could be
Keyblade
shrouded in
graveyard.
light and dark.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps it's like just the thing that, because all of the worlds have their keyholes, and perhaps if you have some sort of control over Kingdom Hearts, you have control over the worlds by
I think that
via
was the
those
main point of
keyholes.
Kingdom Hearts 1. That's what Ansem and Maleficent were trying to get at. That's why they were trying to get to their Kingdom Hearts, because they wanted to be able to rule all the worlds through Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, so is it even a place? Is it like just a bunch of energy? Like what the that's what they don't really describe.
Nope, they don't. In fact, I might almost applaud them for being so good at obscuring what the fuck Kingdom Hearts even is. They do a very good job at hiding what the hell it is, because I don't think anyone understands. Yet we're still here wanting to see it. Go ahead, Mark.
That's probably gonna be the big payoff of Kingdom Hearts 3. It's like if it's not, people will probably be very, very unhappy.
Yeah.
What, you think we'll actually enter, air quotes, Kingdom Hearts as a kingdom? That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
That would be.
I mean, also, I mean, while we're on this topic of like people trying to get Kingdom Hearts, is Maleficent still trying to get Kingdom Hearts? I feel like Maleficent's motivation is just to rule a bunch of worlds, and she doesn't really care how she gets there.
I think you're right about
I
that.
yeah, I think that was, Kingdom Hearts was the means to an end for her,
Mm-hmm.
but she's never really been successful because she kind of sucks.
I
Only
mean,
so much you could do with Pete.
yeah, exactly. There's only so much you can do with a bumbling dude, bumbling buffoon like Pete, man. But also just on the topic of Kingdom Hearts, what's a Keyblade really? What is a Keyblade really? If you think of
It's a blunt object used to bash heartless nobodies, unversed, and nightmares into submission.
I mean, that's
what it
really
is.
all they are, isn't it? I mean, I guess the idea of Keyblades was that they're meant to be forged in the shape of a X-blade, but other than that, it doesn't really explain where. No, actually, that explains perfectly where the Keyblades came from. They're forged to look like an X-blade.
But
maybe I
they
answered your
just
own
kind of
question.
like appear, you know? They seem to have some sort of autonomy.
Right, and they only appear for those that can wield them. Except in like Riku and Sora's case, because technically Sora kind of inherited the Keyblade from
yeah.
Riku when he turned to darkness. That one is really super confusing. Like Sora and his Keyblade, the Keyblade chose Sora, or Sora chose the Key. Wait, you know what? I'm starting to confuse myself. My brain is starting to burn.
Well, I think the Keyblade chooses Sora.
It's
right?
supposed to. It was originally supposed to be Riku's because Terra
because
chose Riku.
Riku
Yeah.
inherits it from Terra.
Yep, but Riku turned to
Yeah.
darkness, so it shifted over. That also explains why Riku was able to grab the Keyblade back from Sora towards the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was
Yeah.
the original wielder to begin with, right? Yeah,
But
Keyblades
Sora
are
has
just...
some, like, he has, like, a heart that has no darkness in it. And that, I think, is a special thing that
Oh yeah, he has
made
fucking
the
Ventus
Keyblade.
inside him.
Yeah. So perhaps it has something to do with that it also
another good
recognized
point.
him as having some capacity to use it.
That's a good point. That's probably actually the good alternative point. I wonder if they were meant to... I wonder if it was both of those reasons for the Keyblade ending up over with Sora because Ventus was sleeping within him. Jesus, you can really go into a bunch of different thoughts when you start really questioning things.
There are deep dives
Oh yeah.
all over this series.
But I mean, we can lighten this up again. Also, for the record, we are at 2 hours and 10, and I think we're only halfway through our agenda list. This can go on for a while. I don't think anyone cares. I don't know if you guys care, but I don't care. It's like,
No, I'm good. I'm not hungry yet, so
Yeah, I'm still around. So
we'll
let's
just keep going. Pick another topic from the best wheel.
Should we talk about, since we've talked about a lot of the games so far, should we talk about our most and least favorite mechanics
Oh,
or gimmicks, or should we
like
talk about
just elements of the games?
yeah, let's do that. Let's do the mechanics.
I think so. I'll go first because I think mine is just obscured by the fact that I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. But like, yeah, I think you guys already know that I had my misgivings about different forms in Kingdom Hearts 2. I called them a crutch originally because the way I perceived them was you pick a different form and you get a whole bunch of these different abilities that are already preloaded. I saw that as like somewhat cheating a system. What I didn't realize is that you kind of need them in order to unlock abilities for yourself. I still don't know if I agree with that whole using different forms to do that.
I tried to tell you that
Like-
it unlocked movement abilities, and you didn't listen to me.
No,
Is all I'll say about that.
No. You did tell me. The only problem is this was well after I played most of the game without caring about it.
I think I told you, make sure you level your forms up because you get abilities. You said no.
No, you're completely right.
Something I don't like that has to do with that is anti-form, the way it works, because it's just random,
It's
and that
random.
really sucks when you don't want it and you get it.
Well, it's random, but the chance increases the more that you do it, I think.
Yeah.
The more you use any particular form, except for final form, which I believe
Resets
was
the counter.
final form reduces the counter, I think, by 15. If I'm not mistaken, each time you use a form, it increases it, I think, by 1. And then I think once you get to a counter of 10 is when you get put into anti, if I
Right.
recall correctly. So
The
you
thing is, no
you
one
reset.
mentally counts these things, or at least.
Oh yeah, no,
Mhm.
and I think that is probably one of the most genius things about anti-form is that someone's not who like if you just started playing the game, right? You're gonna start using, unless you're Rob, you're gonna start using your forms a lot because you're like, wow, these like brave form. Wow, I get 2 keyblades and I can burst down this boss really quickly. And then you do that too many times, and then before you know it, you're using anti-form, and you're just like, wait a minute, why did this happen? And the game never tells you that anti-form is a thing. They put that in specifically to prevent you from always using forms against bosses.
Just elaborating on that real quick. I think that's another gripe I had about Kingdom Hearts 2. It's somewhat smaller, but it's like there are a lot of things I feel like Kingdom Hearts 2 doesn't tell you, at least in the tutorials. Like for example, using different forms, how to level up different forms. I feel like that wasn't in the tutorial for the full forms thing either. So I was really confused as to how to
Yeah,
level up the different ones.
I don't think they, unless it says it somewhere in your journal when you acquire the forms, I don't think they ever tell you what you have to do to level up each form.
Yeah,
Because
that one I had to
it's
look
all,
up.
yeah.
That was that's like the secondary gripe I had about that. Um, Mark with the C. I don't know. I think I cut you off. Was that the gripe that you were saying?
Yeah, I was just kind of adding to what you mentioned, that I just think that anti-form, the way it works, is kind of annoying
Right.
because you kind of you have like, because you do use it to level up certain things, and then you get anti-form, and then your plan to level up your form is like not
It's
going to
ruined
happen, and
because
that
you're now an
that
anti
feels
now.
kind of not great. Yeah, I don't really love that. uh can I say something that I think is underrated, and you could totally shoot me down on this one, but
Go
I
for it.
liked I liked in Kingdom Hearts 1 in Olympus Coliseum when you had to break all the barrels
Oh, really?
just as a little mini game.
Just that? Okay, sure. I don't think it's that bad. Again,
Yeah.
I think there's much worse to be complaining about than busting a few barrels.
Yeah. But also, I guess in general, the Coliseum cups, I think, were great for a like side activity. I think awesome.
Were those
Yeah.
mandatory though? In
Up
one?
until a certain point, but
Yeah,
not
okay, I
all of
thought so.
them.
Oh yeah, to a certain point, you'd have to fight Cloud, right? That one certainly
Yeah,
happens.
I think in Kingdom Hearts 1, you just had to do the did you only have to do the first cup? No, you had to do 2 cups because one of them you fought Hades, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah. And
But
Cerberus.
let's see.
So is that
Well,
the extent of your gripes with the series, Mark with the C? I listed mine already.
No,
I
no,
only
no,
had the
no.
one.
I'm just mentioning things as I think of them.
Okay.
so my least favorite, I alluded to it about 2 hours ago, but my least favorite mechanic in the game has to be the dropping in Dream Drop Distance.
Ah,
And it's in theory, it sounds like it could be really fun, you know, to be playing through as both Sora and Riku pretty much at the same rate throughout the course of a game. But I feel like it always tended to drop me at a point when I'm not ready to drop to
it's
the
obtrusive.
and I know there were the drop me nots which add time to your drop meter, and you can in theory just continuously progress the story from one character, but it just took a lot of the fun out of playing it for me, along with it being on the 3DS. But I want to give it a fair shake. I want to play it again. So when I inevitably do that, I'll let you know if I still hate it as much as I hate it right now.
It's just it's unfortunate because it's not probably it is it's the basis of the whole game. It's meant to be obtrusive. It's meant to really disrupt your thinking. Um, I don't know whether they thought people. I don't know if they actually thought people would be happy with it or if they actually expected people to be pissed off by it. But I mean, it's in the title, unfortunately. So it's just one of those things you have to live with.
It is in the titles. It
It's
is
just
what it is.
one of those things. The thing about Dream Drop Distance of what I played of it, what I couldn't warm up to was the use of spirits and having to take care of them.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Oh.
oof. Those pets, it's such a Nintendo game if you really think about it. It's such a Nintendo game to have pet stuff and rubbing their backs and stuff. It's such a Nintendo thing to do. It makes sense now why that thing's on the Nintendo console. But it didn't make me any happier. So
I've got one
go ahead, sir.
that I like.
Oh, that you like? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, the Struggle Tournament.
You're talking about the Kingdom Hearts 2 prologue, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
well.
fine.
It was like fun to you beat the crap out of Cypher and you pick up all the orbs. That was fun.
You're not wrong. I think that was you mentioned to me way back when I started playing it that I would probably find the beginning parts jarring. I honestly thought it was fine. I thought it was okay playing as Roxas for the beginning.
I totally agree with you, but I promise if you look out on the internet, people like if you look for lists of the worst intro sequences, people hate that intro to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
And I think those are people who are less dedicated into the story, I think. But
I have a point on that. I, for one, found it very slow at the beginning because
the mini games was slow. I didn't like that part.
No. I'm talking to the point Mark was making about the Roxas intro, but I thought it was slow at the beginning only because I had no prior knowledge of who Roxas was, and I think that came from a different game, no? Right? Like you learn about Roxas originally.
I think you would hardly learn about him Chain of Memories. Mark C, you played Chain of Memories in GBA.
Was 358 comes
after? It came after. 358 is after
in life, but
yep.
It's
Roxas wasn't in Chain of Memories.
Yeah, so but the story of this, you know what?
Yeah, the whole Roxas Xion thing, 358/2 was released after.
It was released after, but the story takes place before. So you know what? I'm getting my crap all mixed up. So sorry that I threw you off your tangent.
I mean, this is Kingdom Hearts. Everything is just kind of like it's touch and go. Everything can make you really confused in a hot second. No one blames you at this point. Anything else from me that I'm griping about? Not really.
Well, we mentioned it before, but the 100-acre wood is a mechanical kind of point.
I mean, at least it's optional, so you don't have to do it. I think the mini games that you're forced to play, that gripes me. Like, example, Birth by Sleep, the Disney Town. You gotta go there 3 times as 3 different people and play 3 different mini games. It's just sort of like I wasn't fond of playing those damn mini games and being forced to have to do them in order to move on. I think being forced to play mini games is the worst in general.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I will say though, I did go back in Disney Town and I did the whole raceway thing with Terra just so I could get the Keyblade because I'm all for Keyblade.
I mean, if you got no other gripes, you can switch on to that one if you want.
Well, hold on. I feel like we should. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I feel like we should mention it in this section. Item synthesis. Like good, bad. What do you think?
So, I think from a what you can get out of it point of view, it's good because you can, obviously you get the Ultima Keyblade, right? And you can get a bunch of different accessories that you wouldn't normally be able to get. My problem with it is that, like, unless you have a guide up in front of you, you're
You
never
won't
gonna
know.
be able.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
never be able to synthesize everything in the game to get the ultimate Keyblade without some other knowledge.
Yeah, I think that's my thing about forging. I like that it exists. It's just that I don't. I didn't know what I was going like making half the time. I didn't use it as well as I should have. Really.
And drop rates seem almost non-existent for some of the more important materials that you need to synthesize, even when you increase your, like your luck, if you will, if that's the best way to describe it, I think it's lucky is the ability for it, or something
Hmm.
that increases drop rates for certain things. Like, I was gonna try to synthesize the ultimate Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 1 until I was grinding for an hour, and I think I only got 2 of the material that I needed. I was like, this is way too much.
Yeah, agreed. I never really loved it. I thought like some of those requirements were just way too specific.
In in particular for the Kingdom Hearts synthesis, one of the things I found really cool was if you fought the absent silhouettes of the organization members that were defeated in Chain of Memories, you got a recipe for a weapon based off the weapon that they used, and I think that was an awesome touch.
Yeah.
So again, before we go on to a new topic, just going back to not so much gripes, but game mechanics that we actually like. Again, I'm going back to BBS, but I do like the style changes that BBS has. Comboing up a bunch of different moves and then getting a different style change out of that. I thought that was really neat and
Yeah,
nifty, and that looks
I
to be
agree with that.
something. It looks to be something that Kingdom Hearts 3 might actually also do. 2.8
Yeah,
does it too. I forget what it's called. It's command something.
command
Command change.
styles, right?
Command styles. The way that you get to it is a little different because 2.8 and 3 aren't going to be using command decks anymore, but the idea is still the same. You just attack with a bunch of different attacks, and depending on what you use to hit, you can either end up using Thunder Raga or end up changing your form into something like Spellweaver or something like that, which
Yeah,
I find really nifty and cool. I like that as opposed to different form changes in Kingdom Hearts 2. Um, I mean that might just be on my own self bias, but again, we'll have to wait and see. But I think that that's what we're heading for with Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm really excited to see that. So
yeah. I really came around on the command deck. I like the freedom that they give you with, melding different commands for one, and then putting a bunch of different commands into your command deck and being able to use them basically as often
any
as you want, as long as your cooldown
yeah, you
is
can roll through a bunch of different ones, different
lo-
commands.
yeah.
I mean, the thing
And
is, and the issue that people point out, I didn't really mind it, but the issue people point out is that it does make the game kind of easy though, because you could put Cure and Curaga on there, and you've got two
oh
Cures that
yeah.
roll off each
and
other.
and besides that, you could, like, there's commands in both Dream Drop Distance and Birth by Sleep that are really overpowered. I'm talking about the Magnet spell in
Magnets, yeah.
particular for Birth by Sleep. And once you upgrade it to Magnega, it's, oh my god. For
Quick
for a,
question.
any sort of horde fight, it's a joke.
Question about magnet skills. I never got to ask you earlier, but when you use a magnet skill, like those are really useful against hordes, but they don't really do much against like big bosses, do they?
Yeah, I think that there's certain bosses that it works on, from what I've seen, but every time I've tried to use one on a boss, it's always a boss that it doesn't work on.
Right. So
But
they're kind
I
of useless
think
for boss battles. Okay, I just wanted to check if it was
yeah,
just me or if I did something wrong. But
I think it might work. Does Aqua fight Vanitas at all?
yes,
I think it
Vanitas.
works on
Hmm.
on the Vanitas fight in
Yep.
Aqua's
I
story.
cause what's it? I know air skills work against Vanitas, so I think it would work on the same kind of
Yeah,
kind of
But
thing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, for just playing through the game, if you're not using a magnet spell,
You're doing it wrong.
you're doing it wrong because they're so easy. It's easy mode, and then Dream Drop Distance has balloon, and balloon is
Balloon run.
apparently
Yeah, I've heard
is
rumors about that being really
is the
powerful.
OP mechanic in that one.
So another time, another it just came to me, but another gripe that I had specifically with Kingdom Hearts 2 was the fact that you can't block in midair. That actually kind of pissed me off. Breath by
But you
Sleep,
can't,
Aqua can
you
block
can't
in
block.
midair, and that made me really happy. But if you're,
Well,
if yeah, go ahead.
I mean, most of the time you can't block in the air. In Kingdom Hearts 1, you couldn't block midair either.
Yeah, I know, but that's the point. That makes me very unhappy.
Well, I mean, you also didn't use all your movement abilities for Kingdom Hearts 2. So, I mean, that's I think really what you missed out on.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. That again, that's all me. I take responsibility for being stupid. That's on me. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, let's move on.
yeah.
Let's do something that's got a little bit. I feel like we all kind of have our own picks for this, and I've been waiting for this one. Favorite or best keyblades?
Yes.
I'm just gonna start. You guys know the deal. Metal Chocobo all the way.
You need to explain this to me though. Is it just chocobos in general, or is there something special about it that has you going
It's
for it?
I think it's like aesthetically cool in the sense that all of the or a lot of the keyblades that you see, and this is from Kingdom Hearts 1, but a lot of the keyblades that you get are all these like intricate, delicate, like kind of busy, a lot going on kind of things. But the metal chocobo is this just like big ass like slab of steel basically, and it's got this just like very intimidating look to it, and it's very simple, and it looks like the type of thing that will literally like crush someone's head in or something. And like it's just got a different look, and I was always drawn to it. It's also like I'm pretty sure in the game it's got like the highest like attack value of any of the keyblades, so it definitely like mechanically kind of mirrors that. So I just think that it's got a unique look, which is why I was always a fan of it.
Rob, what about you?
Sorry, nah. Go for it. I need a little more time to think about it.
Oh, baby. All right. Well, I mean, Oblivion is always a solid choice, but I don't know. There's so many good ones. Like
I mean, I was gonna
I
say Oblivion myself, Oathkeeper and Oblivion as a combo, but that's more
I
story
like
related than anything
Oathkeeper.
else.
I like Sleeping Lion and Fenrir because they're both based off of Final Fantasy characters, but I think it's gonna have to go to a Keyblade that I never was able to get, and it's the Winner's Proof.
When is proof? Yeah.
Because it's got the little mushrooms from the Mushroom 13, which is like a set of challenges that they added in, I think in Final Mix only, and it's got 13 little mushrooms on it, and it looks really sick.
It's
And it
very.
That's cool.
got 5 strength and 7
Is it
magic.
actually
That's
13?
ludicrous.
Yeah, it is. 4, 6.
Um,
Yeah, I actually had to count that. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is actually 13. That's pretty cool. Um, I mean, as for me, I think as I said before, Oathkeeper and Oblivion were like my two picks, just by default. Especially Oblivion. I'm pretty partial towards that one. Next to that one, like the one that comes to my mind a lot is like the two become one blade, because that one has like that checker design that Roxas also wears. I was always kind of fond of that one. Um, yeah, I would have to think a little bit harder, but those are the three that tend to come to my mind. Also, is
I
the X
didn't
Blade
even
too much
know
of a
that there
cop out?
was there's one called the Gull Wing, and I didn't know
Yeah,
that existed, and it's pretty cool
yeah.
looking.
I think that might also be a Final Mix exclusive one that they
Yeah.
added. with
Could be.
I think the obviously the gold wings give it to you, but uh, it's not exactly the best Keyblade.
Oh, like statistically?
Yeah,
Well, if
I'll
we're doing
say.
statistically, you're gonna go completely different direction, no?
Well, I mean,
Oops. Got that.
I think we just off of looks. I think the winner's proof one is my favorite looking one. But it seemed to me when I was playing through like Birth by Sleep, like a lot of the keyblades that you get were not very good and didn't really look very good either.
So, question: Would you would in thinking about Kingdom Hearts 3, would you rather have keyblades that look elegant or keyblades that are powerful?
I would like a mix of both.
Don't say both.
Got him.
Don't say both. Damn, I
Well,
knew you would do that.
Well, because like I feel like Kingdom Hearts 2 did it pretty much as best as you could, because it like Kingdom Hearts 1, it was clear that the further along in the game you got keyblades that either had a high strength stat, a really good ability, or a high magic stat. And
Mhm.
then Kingdom Hearts 2 reduced the stat gains, I think, in favor of the added abilities they got, but they also kept a lot of like the keyblade. I think good-looking keyblades in that game. There were a bunch of keyblades that weren't actually really worth a damn, and then once you got the decisive pumpkin, like you didn't need another keyblade.
That was pretty strong. Agree.
But I do think you get uh you get pretty cool looking keyblades in Kingdom Hearts 2 that also have pretty good stats and abilities associated with them. Like I used the Guardian Soul Keyblade a lot, and that you got from beating Hades in the underworld, and it was given to you by Auron, I think.
Ah,
And that had increased damage from reaction commands. And reaction commands are, in my opinion, very important to use against a lot of the boss fights in that game. In fact, some of them are even necessary in
yeah,
that.
like the one that takes place in Beast Castle.
Yeah, against
Organization Matter in Beast Castle. I'm still traumatized by that one.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, that was just a thought that came to my mind. Um, but yeah, that was a good one. Boom. So,
All right.
with
What do we got
keyblades out of
next?
the way, what do we tackle next? Best keyblade, Well, I mean, I think worlds and keyblades go hand in hand. Want to do worlds next?
Yeah, let's do worlds.
All right. I mean,
Do
there are a
worlds.
bunch.
So, right off the bat,
Oops.
let's just say Atlantica is bad.
Can I ask a question? Are we including is this strictly Disney worlds or is this all worlds?
I think we can include all worlds.
All worlds.
Okay.
I think we should include them all. I did not like Atlantica in the first game.
Thank God it was optional in the second one.
In the second, and not only that, but they turned it into a mini game world, which I think is better than it being what it was in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
exactly what it deserves, is what you're saying.
I think so. I like I. Mm,
I'm just grateful I didn't have to hear him sing. Hear Sora sing. I think that's a good thing, right?
yeah.
For what it's worth, I did accidentally wander into that world once when I was playing Kingdom Hearts 2, and then they started singing. I'm just sort of like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Let me just leave real quick.
I think the one I liked a lot was the Mulan world in Kingdom Hearts 2. I thought those had good stories.
Oh yeah, that was good story wise.
I
Yeah, that's
really-
actually one of the good ones, story wise.
I liked the Tron world, or rather the Space
Yeah.
Paranoids.
Space
not necessarily
Paranoids. That's also a good one.
But I did enjoy the Space Paranoids.
Because you get to actually play out Tron, like the cart thing with the walls, which is cool.
I think my favorite world is probably Hollow Bastion.
Mm-hmm.
More so in Kingdom Hearts 2 than Kingdom Hearts 1.
I agree.
Kingdom Hearts 1 Hollow Bastion is cool because it's like that's where you basically have the final battle. Obviously, it's on
Right.
Destiny Island, but like everything like was leading up to Hollow Bastion at that point. But then Hollow Bastion became like it was a whole world. It wasn't just a castle that you visit. It was, there was a town, and then you could go out and the Great Maw. That's what I was thinking of
Yeah, that's what
before.
it is. Yep.
Like they actually turned it into more than just a castle, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
And in one, what I didn't like was some of the puzzle elements of Hollow Bastion. I didn't really think they were that great. The look of it was good, but if you remember having to move the platforms and stuff,
Yeah,
that stuff wasn't super fun.
I I I completely agree with that.
Hmm.
Rob, what about you?
If I had to pick, I mean, you guys bring up Hollow Bastion and Kingdom Hearts 2. I like Radiant Garden and Breath by Sleep simply because I can, do a compare contrast between what I know of
Mm-hmm.
what Hollow Bastion looks like in 2 and be like, oh yeah, so there
Yeah.
are these parts here in like Radiant Garden that aren't there in 2, or this kind of looks similar to the path I have to take. I thought that was really cool. Um, that or The World That Never Was, simply because it's grimdark and it's a city,
Yeah.
and I thought that's really
The
neat.
world that never was is
Agreed.
awesome.
World That Never Was is really good.
Yeah.
I have to think if there's anything else, but nothing really stands out to mind.
I just liked the look and feel of Traverse Town. I
Oh
thought that
shit,
was just a really
Twilight Town. I
cool
like Twilight Town too. Okay, good.
Twilight Town. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Traverse Town as just a like kind of the place where you go and you like don't have a world to go to and you're just kind of in, you're
You're literally in between, and that's where it
yeah,
lies too. It's
exactly.
in between. So
Yeah, so I and it had really great music.
Oh,
Uh
yep.
and some of those first scenes in Kingdom Hearts 1 when you're in there and you're fighting the guard armor and stuff. That's awesome.
I agree. I kind of even completely forgot about Traverse Town, as bad as
Yeah.
that sounds.
Ah, it's so good.
how's that possible though? I feel like Traverse Town
I
is one of the ones that you always go back to. Even well, DDD has it. Almost every game has it except for one. No, two, except for two. No, and
Yeah,
BBS
two.
obviously. It's in a lot of games.
Yeah. Yeah. Safe to say.
But on the topic of what makes the best world, I think part of the thing that makes the best world is also what makes it what also makes best world is what music it has playing on while you're at it. That's one of the reasons why I picked Hollow Bastion, because I really do like the song
some
that plays
of
there.
the best music.
It's
is in
generally
Hollow
the same
Bastion.
if I recall correctly, right? Scherzo de Notte. It's the same theme for any encounter in Radiant Garden or Hollow Bastion,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. I quite like
Yeah.
that aspect of it. On the topic of best music, wow, if we do that, we might be opening a bottle of worms here, but a can of worms here. But there's a lot of good music to be picked out of in Kingdom Hearts. Can we even limit it down? We wrote
Well,
down a few on the list, but
I think the best way to do this is to separate the Hikaru songs
Mhm.
from the score. So maybe we should do that first.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe we should do that first.
it's like, okay, so let's approach the Hikaru songs first.
All right.
Who's not gonna say Simple and Clean?
Simple and Clean is just well, I know Mark, I do know you
I
like
know,
Sanctuary a lot, but I think Simple and Clean is my favorite. It's just to me a perfect song, and I like. It's funny because it just I don't know, it just feels so synonymous to everything that Kingdom Hearts is, and I can't help thinking of the two things together, and I don't know. I wish I could talk about. I wish I had like better vocabulary for discussing like
Just
songs and stuff.
capturing the essence of
But
how
it's just
Simple and
got
Clean
it's just
makes you feel right now.
such a good. God damn it!
You see
It's
what I
such a
did there?
yeah. It's such a great ballad. It's got great remixes. It's just
I
I don't
mean,
know. I
we've
can't say
talked
anything bad about it.
we've talked about this, but I'm actually more partial to like the slower, like Hikari like tracking.
Like the Japanese version.
The original version is Simple and Clean. I do know
I'm
you're more partial to the Planet
I'm
B
partial.
remix.
Oh, ugh. That's when I think simple and clean, I think of Planet B. I think of the end, right? It's the end of, is it Kingdom Hearts 1? It does the Planet B remix, or is that the beginning of Birth
I mean,
by
Planet B
Sleep?
remix is almost everywhere.
It's the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1. It's
And
when
2. And no,
when
not 2.
he's
And Birth by Sleep.
Birth by
he's like
Sleep.
a scattered memory is like a far off dream, and then it goes into the song.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just think that it brings
Yeah, it's
an
really
energy.
good, yeah,
It
it
brings
does. It totally does.
oh,
Well,
like
the
it
trance
really
beat going for it, I get it.
psychs you up.
I don't
I
discount that.
I would be willing to put Simple and Clean number 1
But
because
you
of
just like
Planet.
Sanctuary so much more.
What? Hey, you didn't let me finish my sentence. Because of the
Sorry.
Planet B remix is why I would put it up there. Like I do really like Sanctuary, but you guys are both, I think, more passionate about Simple and Clean being the best one. So
I do love Sanctuary too.
Well, don't let us butt you out. I mean,
listen, you're not butting me out because I like Simple and Clean. You know,
And
how
it
could you
and
not?
it goes yeah, it
It's
goes
hard to let it
back
go.
to just we're done.
I'll stop.
All right, that's gonna do it for us this time.
I'll stop. But yeah, well, I mean, we're all on this tangent. I don't think we've actually talked about this, but what are your thoughts on Face My Fears and Don't Think Twice?
I
really-
love Don't Think Twice.
I really like Don't Think Twice.
Yeah,
I listen to it a lot. Yeah.
I formed up to Face My Fears actually. I thought it was
Face My Fears is
it
pretty
sucked
good.
hard because I hated EDM, but the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, oh yeah, this beat's
It's
cool.
got like a tasteful amount of EDM in it. It's not too much.
Yeah, like I think I saw an article about Face My Fears, and the title was the Face
Does it
My
bop?
Fears is a total bop, and I was
That's
like,
Polygon
okay.
article. I
Yep.
saw that article.
I was like, yep, that is totally a
Yeah.
bop.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
like, as much as like Face My Fears is good, I think Don't Think Twice is better, but I think neither one stands up to Simple and Clean or Sanctuary.
I
mean-
would rank them in that order, like Simple and Clean, Sanctuary.
So
Don't Think
literally the
Twice,
order
Face
of
My Fears.
release.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I don't know.
So-
I think I that's kind of how I enjoy them.
I agree. I agree strongly. I just think it's also worth noting that these theme songs are a product of their times. Like, especially when we're talking about the Planet B remix for Simple and Clean, like that one is very typical trance 90s. We got that going for it. I think EDM is
Right.
kind of like the equivalent of what you would want to mix together between J-pop and some other genres to be, beady boppy in 2019. So I think that's the idea that they were going for. Again, not to everyone's taste, certainly not mine, but I appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Like they do definitely sound like Simple and Clean sounds like a mid 2000s like love ballad. Like that's what it sounds like to me. Because
Yes.
that's exactly what it is. Like
That's what it
they
is.
did it because it's like they did it in the style of what like pop music was then. And that's why this is in the style of like pop music now. It's a
Hey,
cool idea. I mean, I love that.
I'm just thinking about this, but you have Don't Think Twice, and its lyrics are all about kissing once, twice, and 3 times. I'm just sort of like, this is a rated E game. Will we ever actually see love? Will we ever actually see romance?
Maybe
Well,
in Kingdom Hearts
do you think
3.
it's too tall of an ask? I feel like it's too tall of an ask. It makes
I
me
don't
sad.
think so anymore. I think maybe in the past it might have been, but I think things have lightened a bit. I think that
I
you
personally
can
would like to see progress on that front.
Yeah.
I think
I
Kyrie
would-
is
I would
important
say
enough for
so.
that. But yeah, so that is so that takes care of.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think something happened to Rob's audio.
I'm here.
Yeah. So what Rob was saying is that takes care of the like pop tracks, like the Hikaru Utada tracks, and that's one category. And
now
our
we go on
second
to the
category, yeah,
Woo.
is the score. So we have a whole bunch of tracks from the score that we all like. We're gonna Mark. Let's just go through this while Rob is troubleshooting something. I
Okay.
think. Um, so, how about you start, because I think you've probably chosen the unanimous favorite, so we can start with that.
All right. Well, the number one, or the number, not the number one, but it'll probably be the number one. First one I have on my list is obviously going to be Dearly Beloved. The song
Yeah,
that you
classic.
hear at every menu for the start of all the games, that just always, just when I think Kingdom Hearts, I really think Dearly Beloved. And
Dearly
the
Beloved
one,
is an iconic song. Agree.
and the one that I have on my list is actually the one from Dream Drop Distance, and I like every Dearly Beloved the same because it's all that good. But
Mm-hmm.
this one gets a little
It's because it's
like,
got that waltzy section in the middle,
yeah,
right?
it gets
That's
like an
really good.
orchestral waltz
Yeah.
in the middle of it, and it really just, it brings a new energy that you don't really get. Furthermore, there's another Dearly Beloved. I think it's for Kingdom Hearts Kai.
Yes, that's the next one I was thinking. That one's like really
that,
upbeat and quick. I like
yeah,
that one.
it's got like I don't know if it's a xylophone or a marimba or something like that, but it's really awesome, and it added a new flair to such an already classic score piece.
It's like we're accustomed to knowing Dearly Beloved as a beautiful piano piece, but the one that's in X or Kai or whatever you want to call it, that one's just like, it's all zippy and it has what you said, a xylophone or something in it, but something about it is super upbeat and it's different than anything else we've heard. At the same time, it was also on a mobile phone, so that game in general was something different in total. I don't think a lot of people like that one, but I think a lot of people should be able to appreciate Dearly Beloved the way that it was played out in that game. That was really cool. I like that one a lot.
I agree with that.
Shit. Do you, Mark with the C? All around Dearly Beloved, Mark with the C. Do you have any like specific Dearly Beloveds that you are attached to? While we're on,
I'm a fan. No, I kind of like them all. I think weirdly now, because I haven't played the games in quite a bit, when I think of Dearly Beloved, I like to think of the there's a live orchestral version that they do as part of a medley of a couple of Kingdom Hearts songs, and man, hearing that played by an orchestra is like, man, even if it's just on a YouTube video, like the emotion that is in that song and the stuff that it makes you think about and feel is just like so powerful to me. And like I would just basically, I would love to hear it live. But
if the
I don't know. I
orchestra
don't think
ever
I have
comes to
a.
the U.S.,
I
you'd
know.
probably die, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Specifically though, no, I don't think I have a favorite or least favorite. I just really love that that motif in it. You know. The
Okay,
do,
fair enough.
do. I love it.
Mark with the K, continue.
All right. The next one I have on my list is the 13th Reflection, and it's from all the absent silhouette encounters in Kingdom Hearts 2. It's really fast and really fits in with fighting the organization members again, and it's like I don't, it like adds a tension to all the fights because all the organization members are really supposed to be very powerful, and I think the song itself gives off that kind of vibe.
One of the many things Kingdom Hearts 2 does right, especially for those enemies. Agree.
Mm-hmm.
Cavern of Remembrance. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun on your list, but where is that?
So the Cavern of Remembrance is the entrance to the what's it called? The data fights in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. It's in Hollow Bastion. You enter through a crack in the wall of the castle. Yeah,
I didn't have double jump. I saw that, and I'm like, I left it alone.
So the way, like the way you get through the Cavern of Remembrance is you need to have upgraded all your drive forms to the max level to have the highest level movement ability, and then you can navigate your way all the way through to the I think it's called the Garden of Remembrance or something like that. And the song plays the entire time. It's very, very mellow, but it's ooh,
I
I don't
gave it a
even know if
listen. It's a very relaxing track.
and it's the exact opposite kind of sound that you would expect in a dungeon where everything like three
Yeah,
shot.
this is
Like
super cool.
really awesome. I enjoy that one very much. I got the end of the world theme from Kingdom Hearts 1 because again, it's the end of the game and the song fits the mood of what's going on. Really like the Terra
Yeah,
theme.
this one really brings back memories. Uh, when you're in that zone and there's just like nothing kind of out there, and you're going from you're like jumping on the platforms, right? You're doing a little bit of
Yeah.
platforming. Yeah, yeah, that's really good.
And then I think End of the World plays throughout the rest of the boss fights through the end, if I'm not mistaken. I like the Terra theme.
This one I've never heard before.
That one is it plays during the Master Ericus fight in Birth by Sleep.
Ah,
I've
yes.
played the Master Ericus fight a lot because
There's no
because
wonder that one got stuck in your head. You
so
must
so
have been
that one
forced there.
got really stuck in my head. And then I have Traverse Town, which was a late addition during the last segment that we were doing, and it's a great start to a great game.
Just
It-
sleepy old town, you know? It's got that kind of vibe to it. It's
so it's
like,
something I like. Just thinking about Traverse Town. That's the one where the sun never really. No, wait, no, Traverse Town. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking Twilight Town. Um, well, just to ask my question while I'm at it, Twilight Town doesn't even have anything other than a sunset. Because I feel like every time you see Twilight Town, it's all. I think the whole point is that it's stuck in twilight. Is it
yeah, it's
not?
stuck at the twilight hour, I believe so.
So how do you know when to go to bed and when to wake up?
Well, the thing is, the Twilight Town that we get used to in Kingdom Hearts 2 is not real. Remember, it's like the
Right, it's the
constructed.
digital Twilight
Yeah.
Town. Right.
So I'm sure it doesn't play by normal rules, but I know that is
Is it
there a
regular
regular
daytime?
Twilight Town? No, but I mean, is there a Twilight Town that exists in the real world?
Yes.
Or is it?
That's Sora visits it. They have to visit it in order to get to that digital one.
Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. So yeah, I mean, in the real world, well, the thing is, remember when you go to the mansion, you're in the forest, and it looks like it's kind of nighttime there, but it could just be because of the
Just
trees.
trees, right? It's
Yeah,
hard to tell, right?
yeah.
I mean, no one's ever specifically said anything about it, so I just assume it's just eternally in Twilight. But maybe I'm just asking the wrong questions. I mean, with that line of questioning, I might as well be asking how does, like, what the hell does Aqua do when she's stuck in darkness and has to use the bathroom?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Some
Like, how do they
some
not
logic
starve?
is not meant to be questioned.
It's funny. We were just having earlier. We had a discussion about logic, and there are some things that just don't adhere to that logic. What did they
Oh
eat?
yeah, for
When
sure.
did they sleep? Where's the restroom? You know.
Yeah. Not important.
But yeah, if we're going to go through like our music lists, we'll just go. So we Mark with a K went over his. Mine really shortly is it's simple and clean. It's the original version, which we've talked about already.
Mm-hmm.
Shirzo Donate,
So
or
let me
the
listen
reading.
to this one.
Yes, that I mean, like you've heard the theme, so you know it from Kingdom Hearts 2. It's only slightly variant.
Yes, I know this. Yes.
Yeah, the tune.
This is a
is
great
similar.
one.
It's a little more regal
Yes,
in
Yeah.
Birth by Sleep, I think.
because it's Radiant Garden is actually in one piece and like actually royal and stuff like that. I think that's the idea of it anyway, and I grew attached to that one, so that one's good. The other one I picked was a very early, like one of the earliest good songs that I fell in love with was the Fantasia March, which plays at the ending credits of Kingdom Hearts 2. Like that one should be like the anthem for Kingdom Hearts, kind of like how Final Fantasy has its own anthem and Dragon Quest has its own anthem. I feel like that one has, again, as a march kind of a song, and it also has bits and pieces of Dearly Beloved in it, which I really appreciate and that you don't
Wh-
hear anywhere else.
Yeah, I think one of the things about that song in particular is that it invokes like a sense of, oh, where are we gonna go next in the adventure?
Right. Yeah, because there are different parts of that song too. It's like, oh, what part's gonna come up next?
It's like a celebratory thing for what you just completed, but also, oh, there's still more to be done.
Exactly. It captures the feel of like a Kingdom Hearts game very well, really, if you really think about it. That's part of something I appreciate very much. And the last thing I had on my list was The Other Promise, which is basically Roxas' theme, but much more orchestral. And it plays when you're battling against like the inner Roxas when you first show up in the town and the world that never was. When you as Sora fight against your inner Roxas. And since I played that battle a bunch of times, that one stuck into my head. But it was a good song, so I was okay with that. So yeah, that's my short list. 4 tracks, all favorites.
Yeah, those are great. Cool. I guess it's my turn then.
Hmm.
So my number one on here, in terms of score stuff, is Memoria, which is Shion's theme. This is, I have to admit, not something I played through and heard. I like heard this from like YouTube basically. But geez, this song is so good. It's an orchestral song with uh it's really good piano, like it's very like emotional sounding, like piano, and then violin is what it sounds like, some strings being played over it, and it kind of gets really grand, and it's just really nice.
Great
I
piece of
don't know
work.
if you guys have given it a listen, but
Oh no, I have. It's good. It's a great piece of work. I almost forgot
yeah,
about
it's
it before I
awesome.
listed it.
I'm gonna skip the Hikaru songs because we talked a bit about those. The next one is Night of Fate from Kingdom Hearts 1. So this is the battle music in Destiny Island when you're going through when like the darkness is there. This one is like this fast-paced, kind of whimsical, uh, got a lot of energy to it. You guys know this for sure.
Of course,
Hmm.
of course.
And it ramps up as it goes along. It's so cool. That one that's like really good background music. Um, and then the last one is Sephiroth's theme from Kingdom Hearts 2. This is during his boss fight, and what I like about this one is that it's kind of aggressive. It's got like heavy chanting in it, and it's definitely again another orchestral song. Um, but it's it kind of communicates the seriousness of the super boss fight that you're about to go through, or that you're going through, and I think it just fits that fight really well.
Just
uh
curious. Have either of you played Final Fantasy VII to
I've
completion?
played. I haven't played it to completion. I've played through some of it though.
yeah, same
Doesn't
here.
does do they share the same theme? I feel like it would be one of those cases where the theme in this game would be shared with what it played in Final Fantasy VII. I feel like that would be a situation where they would want to share like a musical theme.
Yeah, I wonder, I can do a quick check actually. Yeah.
It's
If you think it
it
works.
honestly it's a very scary theme.
Hmm.
Given the fight that you're in, it's kind of scary.
Hmm. I wouldn't be surprised, but again, it was just a
Yeah,
thought.
it is.
It is, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I was just wondering about that one. Yeah, I just wanted to make
So
sure
I
that.
guess that does it. I don't know if that counts then, that I'm adding it here, but it
Was it
is
exactly the same or a
originally.
rearrangement?
No, yeah, it's like it's a different recording. Like they recorded it for um Kingdom Hearts. It's not the same exact
I
song,
mean, that's
but
fair
it
game.
is
I think
like
that's
a,
fair
a
game.
cover of it.
So
But
Rob,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the calling wasn't on your list.
Oh no, I thought I made those obvious already. That's why I didn't include them. But true, the I would have included 2 more on there. It would have been the World Ends with You tracks, which would have been the remix of Calling and the remix of the opening of The World Ends with You. I forgot the name of the title. Need more candy canes. I don't. I keep forgetting, but yeah. Again, anything World Ends with You. They did have remixes in Dream Drop Distance, and I actually have been listening to that quite a lot since I first heard them when I first watched them. So those would be included for sure. Okay. So that's the music that's down. We can basically just pick, I think, the next couple of important topics. Does anyone have any best scenes that they could think of that actually really stand out to them? What
I've
stand in the
been
memory
I've
of
been
time?
thinking about this. And there, the scene. Okay, so the ending scene of Kingdom Hearts 1, where the door's closing and Sora's reaching his hand out. Uh, that's a pretty sad one.
Oh yeah, that's pretty memorable.
That one left an impression on me for sure. Also, the scene, and I don't know if this is just because I saw it a million times, but the scene that plays before you fight Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1 in Destiny Island, uh, where they're basically having a standoff, and Ansem is trying to convince him that, darkness is everything, and Sora's kind of refuting that, and that's a pretty good one. But I remember just having to do that fight so many times because it was difficult. So I don't think you could skip the cutscene in that in
Hmm.
the original. So I watched it a whole bunch.
And I think he makes a comment that everything returns to the darkness whence
Yeah.
it came.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Whence it came. Yeah.
Yeah. That one, that scene in particular, I mean, really sticks with me just because, like that line in particular, just I I just remember it like that because
Yeah.
it's powerful, man.
It's a memorable scene for sure. Agree. Mark with a K?
Eh, I don't even know, honestly.
Too many to think of?
Like maybe when you're about to fight Zemnis the first time at the world that never was in front of the skyscraper. That like
Ouch.
like,
Yeah.
like it's just I don't really have much to say about it in particular, but it's it reaches a climax at that point.
You know the ending of Kingdom Hearts 2 where like Xemnas just pellets you with just a shit ton of bullets and you
Yes.
and Riku just fending yourself off against them. I think that was pretty iconic.
And I mean, furthermore, there's a scene where Riku fights Roxas in front of the same building, which is, I think, teased at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1 if you wait all the way through to the end.
Yep. I think it's
But
probably one
they
of the secret endings
they
to see
don't
it's Kingdom
they
Hearts 1.
don't show you they don't show you that it's Riku and Roxas. I think they just show you Riku with a blindfold, if I
Yep.
recall.
No,
And a
no,
hooded
that makes sense. And
and a hooded figure, and the hooded figure you learn in a later on in one of the other games that it's is that 358 over 2
I mean, what?
in
That
the
you learn that
movie
it's
in the
Roxas?
movie. Yeah.
I mean, you do see in 358 over 2. I think it also gets shown off in the flashbacks in 2.
Yep, you know what, that rings a bell.
That certainly works. Yeah.
What about you, Rob? What's your
Me?
favorite moment?
I mentioned it earlier, but it has to be the secret ending from BBS because that's the first time where and if you haven't seen it yet, I know you haven't finished BBS, but if you haven't seen it yet, I do suggest watching Blank Points, that secret ending, just on its own, because I feel like that brings a lot of the franchise together. And the thing is, I think it was unexpected for what it was. So when they do that, it just really hits really close to home, and it causes all of the feels. Um, that one really like strikes out in my memory. The others, like I mentioned, it would be the ending of Kingdom Hearts 2, where you're fighting Xemnas, and you get pelleted by a whole bunch of bullets.
Yeah.
What else? Those are the big two. Go ahead.
I've got some.
What's up?
Well, one, when Goofy dies in
Oh,
Kingdom Hearts 2.
the part where he dies but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Hey guys, it's an interesting pattern because Goofy dies in Kingdom Hearts 2. Does Donald die in Kingdom Hearts 3?
That's what the trailers would
Don't
have us
say
believe.
that. And then also, I think it's a heartwarming moment when in the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, when Sora gets out of his pod with his memories and he reunites with Donald and Goofy and like gives them a hug.
Yeah.
It's a nice moment.
It's feel good.
Yeah.
It is a feel-good moment. Although that comes right after the whole Roxas having his first and last summer vacation, which actually broke my heart.
Yeah.
That's so sad. Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
Oh,
You're
I
fine.
don't I
Oh,
don't
you
think you
good?
cut. Yeah, you didn't cut me off. I was
Oh,
done.
I'm sorry.
No, no
Um,
worries.
yeah. Well, that's on whole best scenes that we have, but outside of that, are there any boss fights that are memorable?
Okay, I'm gonna start with this one because it's a boss fight I still haven't beaten yet,
I can
and
guess.
and it's really beating the crap out of me. It's the fight uh against Terra Xehanort while you're the lingering will. And it's not because it's not a memorable fight because of it being a particularly fun fight. In fact, it's quite the opposite when everything that he does is a one-hit combo.
It just hurts you.
It, more so just from the idea of like the storytelling that's going on, and it's throughout the course of the game. Terra is fighting against the darkness inside him and fighting against being the pawn of Xehanort, right? So you
Hmm.
finally get to the point where he accepts the darkness inside. And then Xehanort's like, well, I just won, so I'm going to take control of your body. And then it's just literally the shell of Terra fighting against
His body.
himself,
Yep.
pretty much. And I just think it blew my mind when I finally put together what was going on. I still haven't beaten it because that fucking sucks, but
But you appreciate what's happening
but
under the cover.
oh, it's some great fucking storytelling. I'll tell you that much.
See, that's one of the reasons why I think Birth by Sleep wins a lot of things. Because again, it is short objectively because it's the same event covered by three different perspectives, and really the story itself is short. But when you think about the underlying reasons for a lot of these fights, they all have like significance and reason, and it actually is, important, which is very impressive, and one of the things I agree with immensely. Um,
Yeah, do you have any specific fights that you like?
Me like no, but the ones like, well, like is is a strong word to say. I do have boss fights that do stick in my mind, and I brought up one of them before. It's the fight against the organization member that you fight at Beast Castle, the one that
Oh,
involves you
Zaldin.
using jumping, and I'm just sort of like, what the fuck's
Yeah.
happening? I think that's the only time where I've had to use Mickey to revive me twice. That was really sad. I had no idea what was happening, and I was trying to do everything. I mean, it doesn't help that I wasn't playing the game right, so obviously that was there. But at the same time, I did like it was just so fast, and I just couldn't take it. It was just blowing my mind. The Terra Nort battle, that one also is memorable for all the points that you mentioned, because that one was really rough. Fighting against not Ventus. Fighting against
Roxas.
Inner Roxas. When you get to town, world that never was in Kingdom Hearts 2. That one was also very special. Um, just because you get to like steal his keyblades and then whack him with like two keyblades at the same time, which were basically his. That was really cool. Um, then you have the Zemnis fight, which I've mentioned before, when you get pelleted by a whole bunch of bullets and you're
Yeah,
bouncing them
that's a
back
cool one.
with Riku.
Yeah.
That was really sweet.
That's a fun moment of that game where
Yes, indeed.
where Riku comes back as himself.
Yep. Oh yeah, exactly. Because like for the last part of the game, he looks like Ansem.
Yeah.
Right.
That was cool.
I just have general comments on some of the organization fights. I really like that a lot of the organization members have specific nobody enemies that are basically the same mechanic as them.
Oh
And then
yeah, like Zigbar.
when you fight, yeah, exactly. Like then when you fight the organization member, you realize, oh, those nobodies that I was fighting that were disappearing and shooting me are doing the same exact thing that Zigbar does, or like the berserkers that Syax has, and then when you fight Syax, you do the same thing. That's great. That's
It's a
great.
great connection between 2 and Birth by Sleep. Yeah. Also, I didn't realize that Braig was Zigbar until they ended up giving him the eye patch and the scar. Took a minute for that to click, but then it did, and I'm like, whoa, that is awesome. Those are the ones that immediately like pop into my head. What about you, Mark Widdicey?
Well, I was thinking of this one. It's not really a boss fight, but the Great Maw fight where you fight 1,000 Heartless.
Oh
Uh,
shit! Yeah, no, that's a good one. I forgot
Yeah.
that's a
about
really
that one.
fun one, and the reaction command is fun because you just take out like 10 at a time.
I mean, that
Uh,
whole scene in general, like the lead up where you're like
yeah,
bumping into all the Final Fantasy VII characters along the way and fighting with them, that's also
yeah,
really cool.
I love that. But then also a boss fight that I liked was and I might be a little fuzzy on the details of this, but the Kingdom Hearts 1 fight against Riku when he has your Keyblade and you have the wooden sword, and you're by yourself, you don't have Donald or Goofy with you, and then you eventually get it back and fight him. So I thought that whole sequence was pretty awesome when you're in Hollow Bastion, if you guys remember that one.
Oh yeah,
Yes, it's right when you first enter the foyer, Hollow Bastion.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was just that whole lead up was really cool because you're like, oh man, my trying to attack the Heartless and can't. I thought that was really, really good.
very cool. Okay, I think that actually wraps up a lot of the
Yeah,
topics we were gonna get
3
to. In
hours.
case anyone else is curious, we reached a runtime of 3 hours and 13 minutes,
Woo!
which is
It's
3
marathon.
times longer than any of the other podcasts we've done to
Yeah.
date. So
We
you
stuck
can
with a
you can
long
clearly
stretch.
see that we're very passionate about this series. We weren't
Oh, yeah.
understating that at all when we were
And I
saying
mean,
that we're big
we
fans.
could talk about more if we wanted to, but
we
I
could
think we're,
keep on
we're a
going,
little
but-
bit burnt out at this point.
It's like it's not even a matter of not having topics. It's a matter of like literally us talking for hours on end and not
There
resting.
being too many topics.
There's just too many. And you know the thing is, I have a lot more to say, but at the same time, it's just sort of like let's all just take 10. I think we struck a lot of grounds here.
Yeah.
Hold
So
on.
if are
Can-
there
can-
any final thoughts before?
So well,
the
hold
final
on. So
thoughts?
before we wrap up, I just want to mention that we will be doing another live stream when we're all done with Kingdom Hearts 3. So we'll do another round table where we'll be discussing the game.
Yes, the real
Uh,
question is when that'll
yes.
be. Like, how long?
Yeah.
Again, depending on how long the game is, that'll probably be what, a month or two out, depending on how the pace that we take it on. Like what? So let me just ask as a question: what do you guys project will be like? I mean, we don't really know, but what do you guys figure will be the projection for a completion for a game like this? We said it in
30
hours,
hours.
but let's talk about real time.
Well,
Time
A
period.
couple weeks maybe. I
well,
don't know.
since
Oof.
I'm not gonna get mine on release date.
Right.
um, that's a fair question because I'll probably be getting it in the first week of February. And
Like,
I'm
do you
gonna
guys
be-
really think you guys are gonna be able to crunch through an entire game in 1 month? I don't know if I would do that, or rather be
I
able to
go-
take it in and be able to spit out stuff
I
properly.
don't know.
I mean, I could probably get through the whole game in a month. Yeah.
Depends on your pace.
Um,
Do you think it'll be like the number one thing and you won't be playing anything else? Depends on your pace. That's what I'm asking.
I think it probably will slide to the top of my
Yeah, same.
my games played, especially since I'm gonna have the PS4 Pro with it. So I'm all about it.
Okay.
put
I mean, as
Destiny to
long
the
as something
side.
like Fortnite doesn't get back in the way, right?
Well, that's the other thing. I gotta go and do my Fortnite challenges before the season is.
You're still thinking
Um,
about it.
Listen.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but as far as like a story driven game is concerned, that is definitely the only game I can probably tell you I will be playing.
like I'm
hardcore.
not sure how long it'll take me because like not based on like the stuff I've been doing earlier. Like my lead up to this was literally me pushing myself to the limit to do things as fast as possible. I don't think I can achieve that kind of speed again.
Yeah,
So-
and I wouldn't expect you to. I want you to
Enjoy the moment.
Savor, yeah, I want
Yeah.
you to savor the game.
And I
'cause
want to savor the game too. I want to actually stop and think about things and not be like,
I
all right,
will
I gotta finish this world
surely-
today.
surely be savoring every moment of that game.
Good. Then.
Absolutely.
So
But
let's
for-
just say tentatively, let's put a month out, like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
March,
Don't
somewhere in
say
early
May.
to mid March.
And Chris might be joining us for that one, assuming he gets the game.
And
Well, the question is, will he
And-
catch up and play the game in 1 month? That would be
I
the
don't-
equivalent of
I
me doing everything plus.
I don't know if he's gonna play all the old games, but if he plays the new one, yeah, maybe.
He could. That's true. That's
I don't
a fair
know.
point.
We'll find out.
We'll keep the
find
door
out.
open. Yeah, but that's it on my final words.
Oh.
Mark with a C, you're gonna take
All
us
right.
out.
Yeah. Gonna send you all off with this. You're wrong. I know now, without a doubt, Kingdom Hearts is light. Hit the music.
That's it.
Wait, but who's your favorite waifu?
Yeah, the soundboard's playing the rest of the song. So, don't worry about it. The stream's pretty much done. And I think everything else is picking up on that. So I'm gonna let that run for a minute. We can talk though, everything else is muted. That's a lot, isn't it? That was 3 hours? Almost 3 hours, 20 minutes. This was a lot more than I think any of us were expecting, right?